A little bit of the bubbly.
Oh, son of a bitch!
I'm a comedian, yeah.
Jesus!
Stone Cold E.T. will like a couple cheeseburgers.
Raging elephants.
Undertaker, you come on down.
Die, die, die.
Oh my God!
Welcome back to the Crucial Squared Circle, the most crucial wrestling podcast with Mark Franchise, Davison Sarai, and the most dangerous letter in the alphabet, T.
And of course, if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you!
Welcome back to the show, Crucial Squared Circle.
You started recording?
Yes,
Oh,
Mark Franchise. We are back at it again, joined as always by our lovely co-hosts, Davison Sarai.
Check 1 2 1 2. Are we live?
Are we live? We are live indeed. And the most dangerous letter in the alphabet, T.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, hello. Yeah, no, wasn't aware. Did you catch all that about the salmon? Was salmon on the air?
No, they have no idea what we were talking about in terms of salmon.
Okay.
I'll wrap it up for you. If you don't like your food at a restaurant, don't go to Yelp. Just go home.
Yeah,
Just go home. Just go home.
You don't. Nobody's gonna read your novel.
We don't care.
Go eat something else.
Yeah.
Like a duck.
Anyway, in non-salmon news, wrestling.
Yo,
Lots to get into. The whole, just kicking it off before we really get into it. The whole Meltzer Cornette situation is just.
my petty bone has been rattling out of my arm. So, Cornette, do you already know this?
Mm-mm. What's going on?
So, Cornette got really sick, apparently, about a week or so ago.
Oh.
Very bad cold. He's very sick.
Oh, no. Okay.
Meltzer was doing his usual, just kind of talking about his love for AEW and wrestling in general.
Yeah.
Cornette swoops in and says, you know what? I've been sick this week, so fuck it. And then he starts going on about it. And he says, I'm so sick of you swinging from the dicks of these goofy kids and wrestling these children and the sex dolls and the,
Wow.
you know, all the same crap he's always said. But now he dumps it into Meltzer's lap and is like, and I've defended you to people over all these decades, but I guess I'm just going to go ahead and agree. You're just some dumbass Mark who blankety blank. Fuck you, lose my number.
Wow. Online? Wait.
Yeah,
what?
on Twitter.
What?
Twitter, of course.
Going back to what I said about Yelp, just go home.
Cornette doesn't have a home. He exists online now.
Yeah.
He's a veritable troll who lives under the internet bridge.
The internet troll.
He doesn't know how to
lives
get-
under that bridge.
Pay the troll toll.
Oh, my. Okay.
Fans
Well,
of
So
Dora
anyway,
the
so
Explorer.
finally Meltzer's like, I mean, I've been waiting for this and waiting for this and waiting for this. And so Cornette, questions his wrestling intelligence and character, yada, yada. And finally Meltzer says back to him, oh, I wonder if it would have exposed the business if a skinny nerd with a tennis racket was managing a couple guys who would occasionally crawl across the ring away from their opponents and hide behind said tennis racket. I wonder if that would have exposed the business at all. And that's when those little dust things roll
Yeah.
across the...
yeah.
And finally, it was like that old experiment where all the kids in the class were told to say 4 when 2 plus 3 shows up on the board. And there's one kid who knows math, but he's like, I guess I'll say 4.
Yeah.
It only takes 1 to say 5, and all of a sudden everybody else says 5. So, Meltzer finally broke the seal, and Cornette's all pissed, and he doesn't have anything really to say in retaliation except he hates him. They haven't really been doing it again. It's been about a week or so now,
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
been about a week, and yeah, he hasn't said anything. And again, I think he just kind of took his ball and went home, so to speak.
It's just,
Hot dog. All right. Well, I tell you what, Corny needs to just put it away and just calm down. I'm sorry, buddy.
it's hard when your entire identity is rooted around holding incredibly rigid opinions and
Well,
defending them to the death.
I would also say that, I mean, the opinion, the knowledge base, the wealth of experience, and from perspective and from writing and production. I mean, the man brings a great deal of insight and talent. And I'm not saying you don't recognize that. I'm saying more so along the lines of that's my appreciation for him, and that's my admiration for it. And the encyclopedic knowledge as to how things played out and the wrestling politics that were afoot around the time for various things. So I appreciate that man's.
he's an encyclopedia. There's no
Yeah.
question.
So there's that. That's my like, huh? I like that. I like that about it. Him. But man, that is sad and unfortunate.
I'm more inclined to use the encyclopedia that doesn't have
racist undertones.
The grossest looking
xenophobic
cover of a book I've
undertones.
ever seen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it'd be a little
and-
more appealing. I might be inclined to do so, but
And
We
it's
don't
just
need your
unfortunate. You know,
hate
there's no
spooge.
reason to be like that.
Yeah.
There really is no
No,
reason to be
I
like
agree. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that I subscribe to his
But it's sad when like
hate
the only
spooge.
thing
I'm gonna call it.
Yeah,
Hate
the only
spooge.
when
Basically.
the only thing you have is just being offensive. It's like, dude, you've lost.
Well, it's to be clever. That's the thing. That was the vial. Like, I mean, every now and again, you've got to have somebody that's a devil's advocate. And yeah, I know those who will say the devil doesn't need any more advocates. He's got his. But fact of the matter is that you've got to have somebody that looks at it from a different angle, that pokes, prods, spurs, and then keeps that antagonistic look. And yeah, sometimes vulgar, sometimes askew, and that was something that I appreciated that he gave and he would bring. Because there was a bit of lack of refrain because of his perspective. But that is crossed. That it has crossed, is crossed, it's been crossed, it's done crossed. I agree. But
Sometimes I wonder if people in
No
NWA
but.
wanted Cornette out and were just waiting to hop on one thing that they could get rid of him for.
you mean
No.
Billy Corgan's NWA here recently?
Yeah.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, because they defended something else he did prior to that even.
Yeah. Okay.
He got a lot of passes. And, we said it before, too, right when that company hit YouTube, he was like the ultimate stamp of authenticity,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the
Like,
big thing.
If it wasn't going to be Jim Ross, Cornette's about as NWA as it gets.
Yeah. No doubt.
So, I mean, that was a no-brainer, though. You can't attach, especially with a new company and the way things are right now.
Yeah.
It was
not
always
good.
it was always going to be tricky to have that old product, which is rooted in the South, update it enough to make it kind of modern, but keep it old enough to still hold that, and to find a line in between what's acceptable in 2020
Yeah.
and what was in 1980. Like, yeah, it's a tricky one to stand on, and Cornette's not that balanced.
Right, exactly. Well, like you said too, they were only on episode 4, I think, when he was canned. So it's like, God,
He made it a whopping 3 hours on the air. He couldn't hold it in. Yeah.
congratulations.
We've got something like 25 hours on the air now.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're living lavish.
I haven't cussed once.
This is actually our 15th episode.
We haven't been
Oh.
thrown off of NWA air yet.
No, NWA has not come after me. I love Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Siamese meow.
Anyway,
Or is it
getting
Tangerine
into,
Dream? What?
NXT Takeover Portland. Woo.
Dude,
Whoa.
Big event, like right off the rip.
a lot of people online have been saying, like, that was one of my absolute favorite takeovers, and are predicting that will be the show of the year front to back.
That's
mean-
fantastic to start the year off as a show of the year, but I
Sure
tell you
is.
what, suck it, Vince. I also I'll jump. I'm gonna jump. Just gonna say it out there. XFL's doing very well, but I'll come back to that a little bit later.
A lot of people are liking XFL.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Cool.
But yeah, just start the match off.
Yeah, what
with,
was going down?
Ooh, man.
Dude.
Keith Lee,
And Dijakovic.
Dijakovic. Talk about absolutely stealing the show. And again, Dijakovic, holy crap with this dude. The freaking moonsault off the top rope onto the freaking office chair.
Between the two tables,
Yeah.
like three.
And he did that springboard front flip. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He's a massive dude. The space between those two tables can't be more than, I wouldn't even say it's 2 feet.
I wouldn't
mean,
even say it's
maybe.
2 feet.
That guy's 6'9". How any part of his like torso or hips is narrow enough to fit in there, I'll never know. Let alone from 11 feet in the air and 12 feet away. Like,
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I can't even imagine Rey Mysterio making that kind of a leap, even.
I mean,
frankly, because I mean that 2 feet right there, 24 inches with what do you say? A regular doorway is
Yeah.
30 inches, regular ADA compliant hallway is 36. I'm just saying, throwing it out there.
this dude's
he
the size
did
of an NBA player.
Dude is flying pencil straight through, like.
Yeah. It
terrifying.
was funny because Keith Lee was in an office chair at the time, sitting
Yeah.
between them.
Yeah.
And when Dijakovic landed on him, I said to Mark, like, yo, shout out to whoever made that chair. That thing just withstood about 550 pounds of crushing pressure.
It's a good quality. I want the name of that brand.
That's a
you know?
solid quality chair. That's a good chair right there.
It's a good ass chair.
I mean,
But yeah, way to set the show off. And
yo,
I'd say the rest of the event was pretty solid. You know, the match between the second match of the night. You know,
Dakota and
Dakota Kai and
Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox. it was a good match. I thought the match was great until the very end. And the end was like,
Yeah.
what the hell happened there?
The kind of weird running.
Yeah, the weird run-in with somebody that oh my God, it's so-and-so from season 2, episode 14.
Oh no, it was from the Mae Young. It was from the Mae Young Classic.
The Mae Young Classic, but nobody knew. Like she wasn't recognizable. Everyone was like, "Who the hell is this?"
I've watched both Mae Young Classics, and as we all know, I have an encyclopedic knowledge of wrestling.
Which is true.
I had absolutely no idea who that was.
Well, I guess here's a thought. I mean, last week we had made the comment along the lines of not to knock the idea of fans saying AEW isn't introducing folks in a way without having any backstory, or we're supposed to know out of nowhere and everything like that. I wouldn't say that that's applicable in this situation because I don't have a follow-up, but more so in the sense of it's just the idea is
you set that up beautifully.
I set it up and shanked it to the left.
But it was just the fact that everyone was like, "Who the hell is this?" And then she totally botched the choke slam through the table, and then it was like, "Ow, okay, you just killed her."
Well, I was just gonna say the difference for me is usually still a huge core part of the audience for AEW are people still watching the indies, and so when somebody shows up straight from the indies, like did the Butcher and the Blade. A lot of the viewing audience is like, "Oh, I don't know who that is," but a lot of people do, and that's why the crowd actually does react when those things happen. What's her name? Statlander? Chris Statlander was kind of the same. So I almost got that AEW vibe when this person came out, and especially the way they announced it, because like there was very little reaction out here, and then the announcer gave that big reaction. I don't have an issue with doing that. I don't know. Yeah,
but you weren't going to get any kind of pop from the crowd because that crowd is not.
It's not the same crowd.
Well, pause. Exactly. Do you think it's the debut that needs to be the focal point then? Like, I mean, the introduction is one of the biggest things. You can't make a new first impression. Right. So, I mean, say when Kane was introduced as a topic. I mean, thinking about that introduction, there's build up and hype and all that jazz. Yeah, but room went black, fire came out. Audience was shocked.
Right.
Yeah. There's a pomp and circumstance. If someone shows up out of nowhere, we're supposed to assume or figure out or ascertain from now the commentary, and the audience isn't telling us or giving us anything. Yeah. And then she botches a spot by throwing somebody through a table. I'm just saying, yeah, I agree. There's a difference.
They didn't really set it up.
Oh God, she smacked her off the edge of that table, didn't she?
Yeah, her head bounced off the table, and the table went sideways.
She's dead.
Yeah,
no,
is that right? I forgot to do the follow-up, but it would make more sense to me that she's dead than that she's not dead.
Yeah.
Frankly.
It was just bad because it was well, you can't redo that.
For the record, I hope she's not dead.
No. I know she's not. She's actually okay. That was a concern because they fucking damn.
Yeah. No, that was pretty
I was
rough.
worried about Rio when she did not go through that table last week or 2 weeks ago, rather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was worried about Tegan Knox when she did not go through the table.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the third match, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
That was a great. I thought it was a good match. I'd give it like a B+ rating for sure. I thought it was solid. I thought they gave us a solid mid-card match. And again, I wonder where Finn Balor's going to kind of go from here, considering what ended up happening later on in the event.
Well, what can he do?
I was kind of looking at that as a number one contenders sort of thing. Like in that company right now, I would have said Riddle or Keith Lee, but they're both taken up. So I would say that it comes down to those guys. They weren't going to call it that. But I was listening to Brian Alvarez talk about that and was like, well, technically on paper, it would be heel versus heel if you were to go after Adam Cole right now.
Yeah.
But the crowd loves Adam Cole, half and half.
Yeah.
Finn Balor's as dirty as can be right now, and he's half and half with the crowd. So I don't know. I like a couple of like tweener heels against each other. You don't see it that much, but it is fun because you don't really care which one of them gets clipped. Like they both deserve it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's you ever see Fox and the Hound?
Yeah, It's one of my favorite Disney movies.
There we go. I mean, I'd like to see that between Finn Balor and what's his face, Bebe, Adam Cole. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think nipping at the tail a little bit, chasing one another. Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be like, yeah, it'd be all right.
Who's
it'd be
chief?
all right. I'm just saying.
Who's gonna be chief?
I was thinking about Bambi's mom for crying out loud.
He's the mangy old boy.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley.
I love your point of reference being Fox and the Hound. That's adorable.
Right.
Yeah,
Rhea
well,
Ripley
I mean,
defeating Bianca Belair. That was kind of a given.
It was a foregone conclusion.
And Davison's still under the presumption that we could still see a 3-way at WrestleMania.
I've got an eye for these details. You know what? I was just gonna say I'm not calling you out, but apparently I'm completely calling you out. Franchise, from now on, when you say I've just got a gut feeling that blank's gonna happen, we can all just go ahead and check that one right off the list, because that shit ain't gonna happen.
All right.
Your record so far has been CM Punk is in Chicago. He's absolutely gonna be at Survivor Series.
I didn't say it was gonna happen. I just said I had a feeling.
So I have a prediction.
Yes. What's that prediction?
The prediction is Bianca Belair was in that little run up to the title match with Rhea Ripley. When Charlotte came out, that could have been any other segment. They could have just done that. They could have had her doing her own segment, had Rhea come out, vice versa. The way they did it also featured Bianca heavily. Do you remember that? Like the way it was shot?
Yeah.
She was dancing around the background the whole time. And really, to me, almost stealing the show. They were talking. She was really getting all the hype. Situation went down. She knocked Charlotte out of the way. The two of them teamed up. Then when Charlotte came out and cost, after the match at NXT, Charlotte came out, she didn't just walk away after attacking Rhea. She again grabbed Belair outside the ring and tossed her in the steps.
Yep.
So, I mean, if she's going to be a badass, you could do that. But it's a series of them now. And I just there's no other reason to do it. So I don't know. That's my case.
I hear your case. I agree with you. I think I agree that it would be what they should do. I think that if they were to take this into a direction and add the sunlight and energy that it needs, then yeah, they could make that into a very cool rivalry that would then turn into something. If it was to be kind of like they did a 3-way a year or two ago, where what's her face? Ronda Rousey, was that also the one that got
that was
pinned
Ronda,
by
Charlotte,
Becky
and
Lynch?
Becky.
And that wasn't the way that we wanted that to end, if I remember correctly.
But the reason I didn't want it to go that way is because they're adding Charlotte to the mix. And with this one, I want Charlotte to get diluted because she's one of the main ingredients in the mix.
Well, I'm interested to see how that would shake out then. Do you think that then NXT would reign supreme with...
I think Rhea would still win. I think that's the plan, is for Rhea to win.
Rhea to still
I think
win.
This is like Rhea's big...
You don't think this would be Charlotte's way of getting, number 18 in her?
Oh, God.
I don't think it would do anybody any good for her to win the match.
Oh, it wouldn't.
But we have said it before, too. Like, there's no reason to bet against it.
But here's the thing. Say Triple H puts all his energy and investment and time into building that up to be the WrestleMania thing, and then Vince comes back and says, "It's my big show." She wins.
Charlotte?
Yeah.
That's all, like I said, I mean, if I'm going to put money, begrudgingly, that's where you got to put it.
Yeah.
And then she goes back to NXT.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't know if you would make the switch and have Rhea Ripley come to the main roster, or if she would just fall back to NXT.
It's hard to say right now because they keep saying we want NXT to be a third brand. Like not just, the underbrand, but a third brand. And some of the moves they've been making, kind of lean towards that. The Balor thing really jumps off the page at me. And now with the Charlotte thing, it is looking more like that.
Right.
So the idea of Ripley having to leave to move up, I mean, that may not be accurate anymore.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what the card ends up being. Because,
yeah, very interested.
They'll probably start announcing it within the next month or so. Broserweights freaking taking the tag titles.
Word, rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm glad they found a way to get the their statue out to Portland.
Yeah,
that was a little fiasco with traveling.
Those bits. That was fun.
That's a total. Doesn't it have that Jay and Silent Bob vibe?
It does. It does. It has the you've got the delusional like no, it's fine. Guy going with the straight man, just like which is good.
Why am I going along in this asinine adventure?
I very much that's a good. You gotta have that mixed bag.
What do you two make of the fact though that there's always been this talk the last little bit about Riddle having heat from the Royal Rumble? Because Lesnar supposedly was pissed at him backstage.
Yeah.
And then people are like, is that why he got thrown out fast? Because he was being punished. Since that time, he has now won not only the Dusty Classic tag tournament, now he's a tag team champion. And they're putting these vignettes out, which they're not doing for anybody else on NXT.
Yeah, and they're alluding to...
He's being given all kinds of mic time. I mean, What do you think they're alluding to?
Just smoking.
Oh, that. I mean,
That they're alluding to various forms of things and his excitement. Yeah,
Seems like they're definitely building him.
That's true.
You don't want to squash a guy like that who's the hottest dude.
Wouldn't that be absurd?
That would be absurd,
Right.
but man, I don't.
I'm just saying it's
Is it
been
because
known to happen.
Yeah, it's been known to. Maybe it's because Vince is doing XFL
He's a
stuff.
little distracted.
Hopefully, I don't know.
That'd be nice.
I mean, dude can't drive every goddamn car.
He's been trying. They got a lot of them wrapped around trees all over the place. Look at the
One
ticket sales.
block at a time. He drives a car and then runs back to the other car and drives it up to the next block and then runs back to get the third car and drives it to...
That's
how
a
you get
fantastic
somewhere.
metaphor. It really is, because then he'll run back to the first one after about 7 because he forgets that he did the first one and he cycles again and cycles again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Well, the main event, Adam Cole defeated Tommaso Ciampa.
Baby.
I thought Ciampa was going to take the belt, but then they did the surprise ending.
Yeah.
And didn't really see that coming.
Not even a little bit. No.
So that was like, yeah, that was shocking.
Oh, and if you haven't seen
was a
it,
good twist.
the switch was Gargano going heel.
Oh.
He came out and basically Ciampa was being attacked by all of the Undisputed Era, and he was kind of handling his own business.
As
and
one
then,
does.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it looked like he was in dire straits. Here came Gargano. Everybody's like, oh, good, DIY is going to save the day. It looked like he was going to pass the title into Ciampa to smack somebody with it. And when Ciampa came to take it, Gargano pulled it back. Dramatic pause, whacks him in the head, and then Ciampa gets pinned. Which is interesting because, I mean, they never really settled their feud from before. And when they had it, it was inverted, where Gargano was always the face. So this is like, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. But big win from Adam Cole, baby.
Baby.
Interesting to see where they'll take that. I think Adam Cole versus Finn Balor is WrestleMania status.
I would say so.
Championship match right there.
Are they doing a cross promotion, or are they going to?
I would imagine
it'd be like another 8-hour show with everyone wrestling.
Well,
or is it going to be like a NXT the night before Takeover?
This is the first time I don't know how to answer that, because historically it's been Takeover on Friday night or Saturday night, and then Mania.
Oh.
But this year they've been having such a mix of the two.
Well,
I don't know.
Also Hall of Fame.
Yeah, true. And the whole weekend schedule has gotten thrown off too. I think Takeover's on a Friday night, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought it was for some other reason.
I'll have to look into that exactly.
You might be. Yeah, because they probably wanted a buffer in between the two shows, so that would have been the Hall of Fame on Saturday.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Oh,
yeah.
and SmackDown?
Did either of you?
Hold on.
Wait, what?
You said what's Friday night?
Friday night, I believe, is Takeover.
What about
Tampa.
SmackDown? Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll go ahead and change that around. Or maybe Friday night was the Hall of Fame. One way or the other, they were doing 1, 2, 3 on that weekend. So maybe for SmackDown, they usually, because the crew's going to be so busy, they'd probably just have like some pre-recorded sort of thing going on anyway.
Yeah. Oh, my apologies. It is Saturday.
Okay.
Takeover Tampa.
So then that puts the Hall of Fame on Friday still. So that's a bit of a clash.
That is still a clash. Who's going to be fighting for airtime? So Fox 7 to 10. Fuck, they're not going to be doing that. I wonder who's going to. Man, huh? I wonder who's booking this year.
Where is Mania this year? Is it
Tampa,
Florida?
Tampa.
Okay, so it's Eastern time. Huh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see their booking for this.
So,
I don't have to do it, but I'm still intrigued because if they're going to be, so I mean, like to be something to be. I mean, if you're building a show for a Sunday night, your last show for one of your rosters is Friday night. I just can't move it to Thursday. What do we do?
So which of you just said that it seemed like was that you, Mark? You said it's like a WrestleMania level match with Gargano and Ciampa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
So did you mean on the big show, or did you just mean like Mania weekend caliber?
I would say on the big show, but again, they probably will save it for. They'll probably do it at Takeover.
Yeah.
Because if they do want to strictly keep, SmackDown and Raw separate brands from NXT, I would imagine they wouldn't have that. But then again, you never know. It's hard to say. There's even been talk lately about WrestleMania becoming a 2-day event similar to Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm like,
I think weren't we kind of chatting about that possibility before?
Yeah, we may have brought it up before.
They're like pushing it to 7 hours in one sitting.
Oh my God,
it's getting a little ridiculous.
It really is. They're treating it like the Super Bowl.
Well, it's not.
Well,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I wish J-Lo would be at WrestleMania. Oh, that was
Shakira.
Shakira?
Yeah.
That
Oh
was
man, did
Shakira?
a lot of people have pie on their face. People were trying to make fun of her for doing something like sexual with her tongue. It was completely like culturally historical for like her heritage.
Oh.
She just did like some kind of like with her tongue. Whatever. It became a whole thing where a bunch of dumb Americans were like, oh, she put her tongue out. She's being
Oh
all
my
sexual.
God, I don't pay attention to
Whatever.
shit.
Right.
To get back to the Mania thing, I don't think that they would put something like that on Mania because it would steal that show, and I think they know it.
I do wonder, and yeah, true. And I do wonder if they're going to give the rights to WrestleMania to Fox. That's
Oh,
another
God,
thing.
right. We haven't talked about that at
Oh,
all.
we haven't talked about that.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear about Amazon? And
Yeah.
them?
No,
About
what? Whoa, no.
Well, it's nothing crazy. It was just more so along the lines of that if they do end up selling their stuff, like Mark is saying, their rights to the pay-per-views, then Amazon would buy the catalog from WWE for all their other stuff and just add it to the Prime, basically.
So actually Amazon would own it?
Own it.
So are we at that point where Vince is going to sell off the parts of his car?
I don't think we're
That
at
sounds
that
like
point,
dismantling the company to me.
but
Yeah, I mean,
those two, he would independently sell the rights to the WrestleMania to the main four, and then pay-per-view, and then give away the network, just be done with it, and because of all of it would be given rights and over to Amazon for the
So
collection.
here's the wild thing that I've been following, and I'm glad we tripped into this topic. You know, I think we talked about this when Shalwin was here before. I don't know if you were, when we talked about that $1 billion loss in 24 hours. Did the three of us have that chat?
We did not. We
think that
talked.
was-
I'm privy to it.
You know the story, though.
Very, yeah,
He, like, in a angry rage or something, was zero planning, fired those two
yeah.
principal
Yeah,
people
yeah.
on board. So they drop $1 billion, which is like 20 to 25% of the stock value overnight.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that it cost Vince personally somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 million
ow.
from a 10%. Like, yo, you deserve that more than anybody I know, you goof. So the problem is, within a couple of weeks, was their big profits report, or what is that called? The where they have to go report to like the
Yeah.
shareholders report.
Yeah.
And they had to explain, like, why did you just lose 25% of your stock value 2 weeks ago? You did what with those people and how and why? But here's the crazy thing. You know how I keep talking about that and how it
Yeah.
ought to make people really worry? Their net profits keep going up because of these bizarre decisions to get in bed with the Saudis and the amount of money they make for those shows, which are super lackluster.
Yeah.
The money they got from Fox.
Yep.
Like, so they have these massive, weird short-term profits.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be that tipping point. They don't have the manufacturing of product anymore. Like, it's weird that they're putting all this money on it now as it's
Faltering.
Seems
Yeah.
like it. It just seems so strange to me. But that's how they went in. They're like, okay, so maybe this happened and maybe that money went away.
Mm-hmm.
But look at all these, new revenue streams
Right.
that we have out here. And of course, he says that stuff because he's used to spinning stories. But then we see, and maybe they're going to sell the rights to their pay-per-views. I've never heard of such a thing ever.
Yeah.
It can't be a coincidence that happened. And all of a sudden, the network's not the way we want it. We never heard. Those are directly correlated. Come on, they got to be.
Gotta be.
So, I don't know.
Interesting. Well, as we march towards WrestleMania, big news for Kalamazoo. WWE Live is coming back to Kalamazoo. Hopefully, it's actually coming back
Yeah.
this time, and they won't cancel it. April 18th, it's a Saturday, Wings Event Center. Tickets are already on sale. We're going to see if we can actually do a live podcast from the Wings Event Center.
Ooh.
Is that
that
before or
night.
after WrestleMania then?
Before.
That'd be just before.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
before. Check it out. WrestleMania Road 2.
WrestleMania is April 5th. Or no, that's
What?
it's after.
It's after.
Yeah, that
so,
would be
Oh.
so
after.
this will be the fallout
This
of
is-
WrestleMania stuff,
Oh.
So,
which is actually pretty exciting because that's
yeah.
how they reset.
So on the card, we have Roman Reigns going to be there.
Eh.
Yeah.
God.
Usos are
Well,
going to be
then
there.
Baron Corbin's gonna be
King
there. then.
Corbin's going to be there. Braun
God.
Strowman, The Fiend, is going to be there. Bailey.
Ooh.
Yeah, many more as well.
Those people aren't all on the same brands.
Yeah, that's
So-
why they kind of.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
But yeah, that'll be.
I want D'Angelo. You remember D'Angelo?
The singer?
Yeah.
The naked guy in that video?
That's exactly what I want to happen. To be done directly towards Vince McMahon, because I want to know how he feels about losing $400 million in a moment. In the length of that song, he has lost that amount of money, and I want him to endure that.
Yeah.
Wonderful song, staring into that wonderful man in light, because I wonder, how does it feel to lose $400 million? That is the only thing I can just I can't understand it. I can't comprehend it. I can't.
If I lose my wallet, I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Okay. I lost a paperclip today, and it freaked out for 20 minutes.
Put that's in perspective to your financial well-being.
Right.
That's a paperclip to Vince, apparently. 400 mil.
Unbelievable.
You know what's interesting? Have either of you seen the movie Owning Mahoney with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
That's a lot of M's and N's and no.
Owning Mahoney.
Owning Mahoney with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, so it was a true story of a Canadian banker who was a massive gambling addict. And he was writing out false loans to imaginary people so he could take hundreds of thousands and then millions out of the bank and go directly down to Atlantic City and gamble.
Rock and roll.
It's a true story.
Okay.
And he was finally caught and he had blown
that.
through like $10 million and he went to jail for however long you go to jail for that sort of thing. But it's true, and I used to work in addiction, so I wanted to get into more perspectives outside of just drug addiction. And his report was that I never felt a bigger rush. Now when I'm winning, you feel the rush in gambling addiction when you're losing. That's when you really all of a sudden feel that pang. And so when you said, I wonder how it feels for Vince.
Is it the panic then?
Not panic, like a
yeah, the pang that you feel in your stomach.
But it is that realization of oh God, this horror. Oh my God,
that's what it is.
Yeah, and you're hoping that you'll subside that, but you usually don't. And so people are almost chased because that's where that adrenaline comes in. That's the high.
Then that's okay.
Yeah, of course you want to win, but the high is not necessarily winning.
Right.
So this isn't Vince playing gambling with his money or whatever, but it does. He's kind of a weird dude. He may have gotten a bit of a jolt. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Jim. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah. Think about it. Yeah, if he was to put himself into a position, if he had built up all this energy and built up all this effort to get his all the rights to, or what do you call it? All the pay-per-views and all these relationships with the Saudi prince and with everybody over there, and then with the contracts here to be consistent with Fox, and then he's having these skipping stones where he's hitting the water just so casually.
Yeah.
As Splinter once said, skipping stones, for those that are big fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's most of us.
Anybody watch the old school and be fans of the VHS tape coming out of their shells where they sang and went on tour?
What were you talking about a second ago?
Skipping Stones by Splinter.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the XFL at all? Because I was hoping that it would be a complete and utter monstrosity, so Vince would lose more of his money.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's not
think
happening.
about it.
No, it's doing very well, actually.
Well, think about it though. If it's doing really well, that means more involvement,
more attention.
Yeah.
So either way, good or bad.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
It's not that I wish anything ill against him. It's more of just that, I just want some solid direction for once in a long ass time from WWE main roster. I don't want to not like it.
Well,
and a lot of people want it to fail. There's a lot of people in the area, in town, that hate WWE and want it to fail and do miserable. I'm like, that doesn't do anything good for the industry. I mean,
just because it was Vince that had the monopoly before, that doesn't mean that not all monopolies are a problem. It would still be a problem.
Maybe just do a show.
What do you mean?
Cut it down. Do Raw.
I mean, think about all the downsizing they got it. Because if you downsize, that's your commercial. You cut back your commercial, you're going to drop profit from all these products.
Well, that's what I'm taking
more
from.
People lose their jobs.
Yeah, well,
that was the entire reason that they split to begin with. Was
I know, not trying
invasion.
to advocate the cut of people employed. I'm just saying that.
Right.
From a business perspective, that would be.
Yeah, just do one show, do one thing. Stop spinning all these plates; they're going to fall. So focus your energy on one stream and maintain that good integrity. Stop fucking...
You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
So psychologically, again, Vince would never be able to step back because his identity and strength was in all these spinning plates.
Yeah.
He was spinning all those plates to feel like a success in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Because
look how many things I've got going.
If XFL succeeds, he now feels and tastes real success. Outside of his father's shadow, That might be. He can finally relax and let the plates go because he doesn't need them anymore. I don't need to keep demonstrating.
Oh, you're saying that this may be his
He could
ability
relax.
to get cruise control because now he's reached his level of success outside of the purview of his
He's
father.
proven his point.
Well, Vince has always claimed
Let's see what
very
happens.
unhumbly that he doesn't take vacations or breaks away from anything.
That's what I hear.
And from
Probably-
what we know, his last vacation was before the inaugural WrestleMania. So,
I mean, he gets to go to WrestleMania every year. That's kind of...
Good.
yeah. Must be nice.
Must be nice.
He probably has great seats.
Probably has great seats.
Oh, man.
Right next
But
to
yeah,
the
that's
gorilla.
that WWE Live in Kalamazoo. It's going to be near IPW event for sure. We don't know when exactly, but we know the next one is Tough Luck, March 14th.
Good name.
Kalamazoo. Yeah, right before St. Patty's Day.
Good name.
It's going to be exciting. Isaiah Bronner from Death Threat Army is going to be there. Most of DTA is going to be up north in Kalkaska doing their thing. Is he going
to be the sole representative for DTA?
He may, unless Weaponized Alex Weir shows up. Weir's a guy we haven't seen. He was at IPW Warfare in November as part of the 5-man tag team with DTA. But yeah, unless Alex Weir's there, Isaiah Bronner is going to be riding dirty.
Well, if anybody in that crew can handle it, it's going to be him.
Yeah,
I mean,
no doubt.
Jesus.
I'm curious. I am curious though, with DTA being out
In Kalkaska.
Yeah, they're going to be at Mr. Chainsaw's wrestling.
Okay, I was under the impression that there was wood involved because in Kalkaska, logging happens.
Yes.
Yes.
That and then like halfway decent wrestling shows and rock shows. When I was in that band, we would go to Traverse City, and there's not much happening up around there. So usually it would be like Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, and then just come home.
Oh, okay.
But then we eventually realized you could go Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Kalkaska, Alpena, come back down I-75.
Oh,
yeah.
word.
And it's way up in the middle of nowhere, which means people are bored. And you would be surprised. I remember we played some little church show, and like 400 kids crammed in there.
Rock and roll.
And they said they're
cool.
getting like 500 plus at the Kalkaska Mr. Chainsaw wrestling shows.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
and
It makes sense.
I'd love to. All right. We're going to
Yeah,
Kalkaska.
Yeah.
Hot dog.
Yeah, so they're going to be busy up there. I'm curious if Isaiah Bronner is going to get the shot for the IPW title against Karam.
Oh, that'd be dope.
But, I mean,
Revenge for the crew.
well, Bronner did come away with a tag team win at Valor. He lost at High Stakes in the double tag team match. He didn't lose by pinfall. Vendetta actually was part of the tag champions, so the tag champs lost the titles. But yeah, I gotta wonder who Karam's going to be putting the title up against. The title will be on the line. I believe that's the only title that's going to be up for grabs. So you're going to see a different show than you've seen as of late, but it's going to be interesting.
Aaron O'Ryan won't be there either.
Nope. Aaron
Okay.
O'Ryan, Tommy Vendetta, Jack Price, and Adam Wick are all going to be in Kalkaska.
Well,
Kalkaska.
Yeah.
Hot. So, okay.
There's no other reason to go. I mean,
I don't know. Have you seen a logging competition?
I mean, like those lumberjack contests?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I have. They do that?
I think so.
Oh, have you seen that, Mark?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, my.
It's like 4. So there's the one where you climb up the pole real
Oh,
fast
yeah,
to chop
okay,
the
now I know
top
what you-
off.
Yep.
There's the running on spinning logs thing.
Yep.
There's the chainsawing fast thing. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit.
There's the one where you have to hack the one that's underneath you. Have you seen that one?
I think you sold me. I think we're going to Kalkaska.
All right, we're going to Kalkaska for logging
There's actually
and wrestling. I am so intrigued.
Yeah, go.
there's
Yo,
there's a
go.
lot of there's a lot of wrestling events even this weekend. Friday Night Fire I'm going to on the east side.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Saturday in the middle of nowhere. It's like near the Ohio border. It's about an hour away from here.
Ooh.
I didn't recognize
Yeah,
too
don't
many
fuck
of
with
the
Ohio,
guys.
man.
Is it
It's
down
in
like
Michigan.
south of Coldwater? Like that
Yeah,
area?
yeah. I think. Well, it's like southeast of here. It's about an hour away.
What's the name of the
East
place?
here.
I can't remember. I'm trying to look it up right now, but I do
Sounds
know.
like Quincy area.
Yeah, it is Quincy.
Deep
Thank
in
you.
deep in Amish town.
Quincy.
Hey, you're going to watch some Amish
it's
wrestle.
It's at Quincy High School, in fact.
Oh, no kidding.
The main event.
You know,
for
they
the,
had a high school in Quincy.
the main event for the world title is best 2 out of 3 falls between the Black Diamond, Jack Price, and Aaron O'Ryan. So
Whoa.
yeah, that's a big
Huh,
match.
That's pretty fun.
So
Cool.
And then Sunday, the show I'm really excited for, the city championship. That's the House of Truth. that's gonna have a whole bunch of people are gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome.
You're doing that as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Sunday night. It's in Hamtramck.
You're okay. What's up? Just going hog wild. You heading out there with?
I don't need to go to the east side. No,
Gotcha.
It's not.
But so
it's
Friday,
not my time.
Not my time. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're going to be amongst the sweat. What's
Not
up?
Not Saturday, because that one's in Quincy. That's ways...
you're not going to the high school.
No, because Quincy is closer to here.
Yeah.
It's like maybe an hour drive from here, but it would be like
It's like
3.5.
69 South. Just
Yeah.
there's nothing going on down there.
Nothing.
Gotcha.
I used to go to a band. We used to have a band with somebody who lived in Quincy. It was like an hour in each direction.
Yeah.
I like the name Quincy. Quincy.
Right.
Yeah. Hey,
Quincy.
you know what we didn't touch on yet?
Quincy.
Did you all watch AEW on Wednesday night?
Yeah. Big. And again, got a ratings victory over.
Yeah. I didn't look at the numbers.
What were the numbers? Because I got to tell you, that was a pretty damn good show. I very much enjoyed it.
I'll be honest, I was surprised they didn't break 1 million viewers because I was convinced that the cage match, the battle royal,
Your gut was telling you it was way over 1 million. Is that right?
So I'm just surprised.
I was surprised.
Look at the card. It was the best card that they put together.
No, it was fantastic.
It was a fantastic, and yeah, I would also
They were pushing 900. They had 894,000.
Hot dog.
And
Well done.
NXT scored a 757,000.
They're staying firm.
Right about the same, yeah. Dude, how about that cage that Cody and Wardlow fought in?
Oh my!
That thing was 50 feet high.
That thing was gargantuan.
Yeah, that thing was massive.
And it was weird too. The proportions. It was almost like somewhere between a cage and Hell in a Cell because it was
that's
like
what they were saying. It was almost like a hybrid,
just like a foot out from.
I wouldn't even say a foot out. I think that it was hugging the ring.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It was odd. But so when Cody goes up on top of that thing, I am horrified.
Well, okay. I'm going to say this. When I heard about this cage match, all that ran through my head was the blue steel. Like, that was what I was hoping, and that's what I was praying for.
Are you talking about Ben Stiller?
I am. Yes, I'm talking about Ben Stiller.
Zoolander blue steel?
I have no. I'm talking about the old school. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that brutal, fatal cage match thing.
Yes, the old
smashing
school.
your head into some plumbing pipes.
Yes, yeah. I was just under the impression that it was gonna I was excited for that. Not that expecting that, but just for some reason I was excited for that. When I refreshed myself, remembering that there was gonna be a cage match, I felt like I was gonna rip through a pillow. I was so excited. Yeah. So I don't know. This cage match got me excited, and sorry, I just wanted to say that was awesome.
That bump.
Yeah. Well, how did he get hit? Like, I blinked for a second before they went to the two screens, and he was bleeding from the head.
Oh, he went to the cage. He gave him a cage shot.
All right.
Well, so
he looked so tiny. They look so tiny.
What did?
The men.
Well, that's because that cage was the size of a friggin' skyscraper. It was horrifying.
Huge. 2 tons.
It was funny to watch.
85 feet high.
I watched, what was that video this morning? It was Brian Alvarez, I think, talking about it. And I had thought, man, it seemed like he climbed up there and he didn't take a split second. He didn't stand around. He didn't think about it. He touched his feet and he jumped. And I remember thinking, are they getting tight on time? Or was he so scared up there, he knew if he stopped for a second, he wasn't going to be able to go. He's like, yo, I just got to do this. And it always blows my mind when that happens because there was such a thin margin of error. And the fact that they pulled it off and he didn't appear to have any damage.
Yeah.
Like,
unbelievable. It kind of goes back to when Mick Foley did the Hell in the Cell with Undertaker. And Vince was like, have you been up there? And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, you're comfortable? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And he's like, and I lied.
Yeah.
He's like, I hadn't been up there. And he's like, had I gone up there, I would not have
come down from there.
I would have not been too happy. But yeah, excellent. Like I said, it was probably the best show they've come up with so far in terms of booking. And I hope we see something like that going forward because like I said, it's just an exciting show. Next week, you've got the 30-minute Iron Man match between Pac and Kenny Omega.
Finally.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Best friends against Butcher and the Blade.
How good did the Butcher look in that over-the-top rope battle royal? Man, he already got him to the last, wasn't he like the fourth from the end to go out?
I think so. Fourth from the end or sixth from the end.
He looked like a savage in that match.
Yeah, the way that did not end the way I wanted. I did not like how that went, actually.
Well, I'm curious now with the Bucks having to face Kenny Omega.
I'm stoked on that.
Do you think, and I know this is going to sound weird because it's just not what we're used to. Do you think Omega is going to turn heel
With Hangman?
with Hangman?
No, I don't, but I like that idea a lot.
I think it's interesting to think about.
Where would you see it going
where
if
you
it
going?
did happen?
Well, like my opinion matters.
We asked you for your opinion.
Your mic's on in front of you, man.
Your opinion's great. It's just your gut instincts.
It would be hard to say, like, because I don't think it would have to come after the match. It would have to come after the match with Omega, doing the gig hug and whatever. Because I could see the Bucks taking the titles.
Oh, and that pissing Omega off somehow?
And yeah, but then that wouldn't really give Omega and Hangman Page a reason to be tag partners and be heels together.
Right.
Because Omega would be much better off doing his own thing as who he is now. But if they beat the Bucks and then somehow, after the match kind of, do the respectful thing and they go to hug it out and Omega and Page just start messing them up,
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I do like Omega a lot as a heel, but I
don't think in
I
this
don't think it's going to
capacity.
happen
No,
for a while.
I don't think in AEW it's going to work because
Not right now. I mean, you'd have to see him. If you haven't, you should go back and look at him when he was running Bullet Club, when he was in NJPW.
oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. When he was in Bullet Club, it made a lot of sense.
But it's funny because even then he wasn't like the tough heel. Like he was tougher,
right?
But he was still always kind of just a little silly and mildly dorky about it, which is fun.
And I also kind of look at it like this. Look at the heels you have. You have Jericho. You basically have Jericho. You have Pac. You have MJF.
Yeah.
You got a lot of really strong heels right now. And then you got the Dark Order, Butcher and the Blade. Like
to me, your top three faces.
Yeah.
Are Omega, Moxley,
Yeah.
and Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Did you see the reaction Darby Allin got when he came out?
The
Yeah,
drop
I saw
off,
that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the drop off that Darby Allin did on top of Spanish God's back was.
Oh, he did the acid drop on him.
Yeah, they did the acid drop right on his back.
Yeah, dude.
I was laughing so damn hard.
He got a huge reaction when he
Oh my
came
God.
out.
Yeah.
It's so great that he's one of the smallest guys on the roster, and everybody's terrified. Like his character is so cool.
Yeah.
He's that little like
Well,
Tasmanian devil ghost. Like
Yeah.
he's kind of cute, but Jesus Christ, get away from me.
Right, exactly. I mean, you kind
That'd
of
be a
knew
cool
that
tag
as soon
team,
as
him and Moxley. Yeah.
you kind of knew that as soon as he hit the scene. I felt like in his first appearance, I was like, man, there's something about this kid. He's freaking sweet.
He was a huge deal globally across the Indies. He's
Yeah.
world champion in a bunch of feds.
He's what's cool about that too is I think they set him up perfectly for that, pitting him up against Moxley and Jericho right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get him over like that.
His
and to
first
show
match
that-
was Cody. Remember 20
Right.
minute
Yeah, it
time
was.
limit
Exactly.
Cody.
Yeah, it was.
So that's what I'm saying. You
They
put
were
him up
smart.
against the top guys. It shows that he's got that endurance.
Yep.
And the fans got behind him. And yeah, it was.
And think about the rep he's already established. Because, like we said, we always think about Foley, and we'll never not think about him coming off that cage.
Yeah.
Right? That's right stuck
Yeah.
with him. In a very short amount of time in AEW, I can think of Darby Allin, and I can think of multiple iconic crazy bump situations already.
Oh yeah.
He did
yeah.
that massive missed coffin drop in his very first match on the most suicidal part of the ring.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He did the barrel jump in that three-way and landed on steps. He did the thumbtack acid drop onto Joey. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's already got a whole bucket
Handcuffs.
full of those things.
Yeah, it's
He's
insane.
become like,
Yeah.
He's one of my top guys in AEW right now.
yeah, love that
And
dude.
I am curious when they're going to institute a mid-card belt, but it sounds like they don't want to do it.
I think it's too early. I think it would take away. They're still growing the roster. And do we know anything about that second show? When that's supposed to come into
No,
fruition?
I heard rumor that it's supposed to be called AEW Spark.
Interesting.
Rumor. It's not
Dynamite and
confirmed or
Spark?
anything, but it's just like one of those whispers.
Like a whisper on the wind?
Yeah, whisper in the wind.
That's a fart.
Yeah, it literally is a fart.
A wisp of a willow of the wisp?
Don't quote me.
Yeah. They need to build their roster before they.
There are people actively rotating in and out of chasing the world title. and it's a cool way to keep, because they keep reporting on the rankings. I just listened to the rankings again the other day.
Yeah.
And Jesus, Moxley's record is tremendous. I think he's like 10-1.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go and take from Revolution.
You think he's going to win the belt? That's what Mark was saying as well.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I don't think he will. I think that Darby Allin will take the belt from Jericho eventually. That's my prediction.
Really?
Just based on the slow roll they're doing. I just put it this way. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so if Moxley becomes champ with his character, which is come down, get in your face, and start a fight, now he's going to be a face champion, which means you have to put him in danger all the time. But his character isn't super.
Yeah.
It's not built for sympathy per se.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, people love him,
Mm-hmm.
but it seems like it would almost diminish his toughness if they develop sympathy by beating his ass all the time.
Yeah.
So to me, he makes more sense in that pursuing. It's like when Steamboat won the belt at WrestleMania 3.
Right.
We loved hoping he would win. As soon as he did, it was like,
He's an okay champ.
Now what?
Yeah.
It was all about the build. So I mean, I don't know. You're probably right.
Eh.
He probably will.
Well,
Moxley
I mean,
probably will win.
if Moxley doesn't, I say Jungle Boy over Darby
Wow.
to take it from Jericho.
I would bet you. Give me odds. Give me 10-1, and I'll bet you $10. I'll
Wait.
take Darby way over.
Yeah.
and only because, and I love Jungle Boy. He's fantastic. But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking all the global experience that Darby's had as a main eventer, as a champion. I agree with you. Jungle Boy will be.
Not today, Jungle Boy.
So yeah, 10-1. Let's put money down.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I think it'll be
I'm
a
ready.
while. Well, I think
I'm
just
ready.
people just want a belt. That's all it is. People, like wrestling fans, they're just so impatient. Like, we just want another belt. It's like,
I
what's
don't.
the point? They're like,
It just
you've
makes
got
them less. The
everybody
second you do, they're less important.
I don't.
And they're like, you've got everybody stuck in the limbo. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Just enjoy the wrestling match.
I
In
Why
limbo-
do you
enjoy
need
the
a
hell out
belt
of it.
to...
Wait, what does
The
that? What does
origin.
that mean in limbo? Like
Like,
waiting
they don't
for
have
So-
a belt to fight for, so nothing means anything. Nothing means
Nothing means
nothing.
nothing.
I'm like,
I tend to agree with that statement.
Well, I mean,
right.
Nothing means nothing.
I mean, a TV title would be cool, like we talked about before, to make that as a running thing, but we don't need it.
Okay, hear me out.
Fucking
It doesn't have to be a title. So what's a title supposed to be? Recognition, right?
recognition.
The ultimate recognition is as a top champion, and according to some people, we're left in limbo. Ba ba hoo hoo woo woo woo. What if the constant build for the number one contendership, which they are actively talking about all the time, we know who those people are because they tell us.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have necessarily the TV title to be the one out there looking like maybe the best technician. We already know your ranking. Like, I know who that guy is or who those people are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't put as much emphasis as they could, but I like that. I like emphasizing it. It makes it interesting to me.
Yeah.
And because of that, it kind of fills the void that a mid-card title would fill for me personally.
Yeah, I don't need another title. I don't need
Yeah,
anything else.
I'm really not too concerned with it, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary.
What was it? What's his name? MJF won the ring.
Yeah.
And the Young Bucks won cash. Is that what they got at this thing?
Cash.
No,
What do you mean?
the Battle Royal?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
this
they're
is
the number one contenders now. They're going to go and wrestle. It's going to be an all-elite type team title
Yeah,
match.
but
at
going back to what I
Revolution.
said, did not like how that battle royal went.
Oh, yeah, you didn't tell us.
Yeah. Oh, simply it was sloppy, and as to how it was executed and all that jazz, I truly wish that Butcher and Blade would have taken it. I made the jab that I was hoping that Jurassic Express would have made it, but nay say. But Butcher and Blade should have taken that.
From a rivalry standpoint, like
Young Bucks shouldn't be on. It should not.
That's the angle they've been building for weeks.
I know.
You know, this is an interesting subtopic. And Mark, you and I kind of directly addressed it on a show, whenever it was, a couple weeks ago maybe. You said that you look at wrestling and you're really trying to preserve that suspension of disbelief thing.
Yeah.
So when you're watching, you really are trying to keep it specifically in a kayfabe mindset, right?
Yeah.
I've realized I can't even do that anymore. Like, I really am. I mean, I'm more interested in what we talk about, like about wrestling, almost than I am about what's happening in wrestling at this point, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense. No, when great matches happen, obviously I love that. But for most shows, front to back, that's what I'm interested in, is the moving parts. So like with that, I knew the Young Bucks were going to win because obviously they were building towards this thing. But you were hoping that this other thing would happen.
Yes.
Are you able to actively say, I know the Bucks are probably going to win, but it would be nice to see this, that, and the other?
Yes.
Oh, see, for me, I don't even do that because I just know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
And I just watch, and then it is what it is.
So you
know?
seek confirmation for predetermined expectations.
No, I'm not seeking that. I just kind of have my strong impression of how it is going to go.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy watching it because I
It's still
watch
enjoy it.
dance too. I watch
Yeah.
figure skating. It doesn't have to be competitive. It's like, oh, I like the human flow. I like the athleticism. It's, there's I don't know who's going to win every match. But I mean, it's pretty obvious when they're setting the table for certain angles and outcomes.
Yeah. That's
So,
fair.
yeah.
I mean, I would also say in the vein of if you watch enough wrestling, you're able to watch out for it and know and plan for and think on.
I watch.
We
wrestling.
watch a lot of wrestling.
I am that magician that's watching the magicians, and I'm watching their hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's still awesome.
Yeah.
But like, okay, there it was. Like, I don't know if that's cynicism. I don't think it is. It's just, I don't know.
Just the way the industry's changed.
Just that way I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. The age of the big boot and the leg drop and is over.
Well, that, but I mean, I think that I like AEW in the respect that you're still paying attention. It's still grabbing your attention. It's still keeping you engaged.
It's got a little bit of high school talent show to me. Like,
Oh.
they're definitely pulling it off, and sometimes it feels a little like, whoa, is this about to go off the rails?
Whoa.
There's
Yeah,
something
that's fair.
about it, and it's definitely like the humor that they're willing to go with. What did Cassidy do this week that was so funny? Do you remember what his spot
He
was?
got kicked in the nards by Bunny.
Well, before that, though, he had some
He carried
spot.
what's his face?
Yeah, who was he carrying?
One of his best friends.
Oh, he's on his shoulders, and then he walked around with the...
Oh.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I like the way they're using him still, too. He develops a lot of sympathy the second they need some.
Oh, yeah.
All you gotta do is punch or kick that dude, and everybody hates your guy.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He's the Matilda of AEW.
Oh, my God.
I do like Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed.
So, man, so Cody, this dude, busted his forehead open in a horrifying unicorn shape. Or what's that called? A horseshoe shape on his head there.
Oh, yeah.
He took the lashings.
Yeah.
He just took a moonsault off a 10-story building. Like,
Man.
he's putting in work.
He's ready.
He's putting in the work, buddy.
How long is he going to be able to keep up this frantic
Till
pace?
Starcade.
Oh, you mean that house show next year?
Yeah.
Try
Until
again.
the rights come home.
The straight to DVD show. Oh, yeah. What a joke.
Yeah,
No, for real. I
buddy.
mean, is that him trying to, draw eyes to the product? Like, holy crap, you can't believe what this guy's doing? Is that him establishing his character? Because if you think about it, and this is catching more steam online right now too, everybody's like, this is a cynical period in wrestling. There's no such thing as a white bread or a white meat face anymore. People say that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a Ricky Morton. You can't have a Tito Santana. You can't have a Rocky Maivia. Well, you got Cody Rhodes. And at this point, he's total virtue. He does the right thing. He's looking out for his family legacy.
Right.
He is a white meat babyface right now. He swears occasionally, but like there ain't nobody else in the entire industry. Tyler Bate to me is close to that. It's hard to not love Tyler Bate, even as a completely goofy, cute little face, right? There aren't that many who can pull that off.
Yeah.
Crowd turns on you like that the second you like even touch Saccharin Sweet. You got to do it just right.
Yeah, because it's a different crowd, too. It's a totally different time period now.
What?
The loyalty
Of?
the AEW fan.
Well, again, you look at the casual...
That's what he's capturing.
They
Oh,
really
God,
do.
bless America.
They really go after the casual wrestling fan. And it's perfect. Like I said, there's so many people I run into. My coworker who, we barely see each other because he works on Battle Creek. But I'm like, he was like AEW or NXT, and I was like, well, both, but AEW. And he's like,
That's
dude,
AEW.
he's like, same. He's like, because we were like, NXT, you can't compete with their talent, but AEW has an all around more entertaining product. And
So I think I know what you mean, but when you say you can't compare with their talent, do you mean as a whole, or do you mean there are people on that roster infinitely more talented than
just as a whole, like
a consistently talented roster?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
and they're putting people out on NXT who are just, they're going to be big, whether it's an NXT or a WWE main roster. And again, it's a totally different product. Right. But AEW as a product is just a lot of fun to watch. The way it's presented, the way it's billed, the way it's presented on TV, online when they tease you the matches and everything. It has a certain look to their billboards and everything. It's just, it's
got that original like winky, too cool for school vibe that made the Young Bucks so popular globally. That the Cornettes of the world said they would never get over because it is outside of that wrestling tough guy norm. Mm-hmm. You can't deny that those dudes are tough. They're beating their bodies up worse than just about anybody else on the planet.
Yeah. Even my older brother, like when we were talking, he was like, he's like, you ever watch AEW? I was like, yeah, every week. I was like, you're watching it too? Because I knew, he grew up as a wrestling fan. He went to WrestleMania 3 with my dad, and, he wasn't hardcore about it like we are by any means, but he's like, yeah, after the kids go to bed and Jen's reading or something, I'm just sitting on the TV, like I'll throw Dynamite's on, so I'll watch it, and yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. And so it's it's a casual wrestling fan, like he's like, this is sweet, because it's different. It's not like all up in your face, super serious all the time. Like you got to be a dedicated viewer to know everything that's going on. With AEW, they're throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. And so it's a good time to be that casual wrestling fan because you're like, this is kind of cool. And then you become, once you get sucked into that, once you go, there is way more chill and obviously a little bit more fun and not.
Tell me what you think of this. So think about when the women's revolution was happening at the NXT level. So we're talking 4 or 5 years ago, right? They were really catching eyes because they had upped the athleticism, wrestling style, and I always come back to it, but like kind of a baseline violence for their matches. Yeah. That was getting real close to and sometimes eclipsing the men's matches. And that's when it started getting more attention, right?
Right. Yeah.
At that point, if the quality of moves, the quality of match, the quality of violence, etc., is on par, the difference between the women's presentation and the men's is that the women were allowed to be cheeky and have more fun with their characters and goof off. Yeah. And while it might have been easy to just see men's stuff and women's stuff, now we're looking at compare the typical WWE mindset and crowd to the AEW mindset and crowd. The big difference is AEW is into an Orange Cassidy. Yeah. They don't let anybody really do that on WWE because we talked before about Vince's image of manhood or whatever, and silly doesn't cut it. But the women are allowed to be. And so it makes me wonder if that's where, the glass ceiling has been smashed. Yeah. Is that they've kind of matched the wrestling quality, and now women have more freedom for character development in the WWE system. And in AEW, everybody's given that freedom, and that's why we find it to be so much fun. Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, it's a very different thing, but to me, it feels like the same mechanic.
You look at the crowd, too, and it looks like they're partying.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo's there again this week.
Dude.
What's that?
Scooby-Doo was in the audience.
And Raven.
Second time in the week. I'm sorry, what?
Raven was there this week.
Oh.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't see him.
Raven was there.
Oh, he was the EC. Where was he?
He was in the crowd. Front row.
Okay, you want to hear some dirt?
Yeah.
This is just theory.
Intrigue.
And they've been talking about who's going to lead the
Dark Order.
The Dark Order?
Raven.
It's possible.
Think about the Flock. Think about the Flock in WCW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, highly underrated group. I mean, of course, they were unfortunately, they lost every single match they were in. But I mean, you could do worse.
And you know what's unfortunate? As much as
I'd buy a shirt. I'd buy a shirt.
As unfortunate as much as I want it to happen, I'm starting to feel like the whole Matt Hardy thing is not going to work. Well, here's why I say this. Though.
Too much WCW though. I'm thinking that was my worry about it.
He might get too much WWE money getting thrown at him now to keep him.
Look what Edge and Randy Orton both did. They were like, they were like, hey, AEW, and Vince was like, no. Well, Matt Hardy just posted on his Instagram, staring at a screenshot of AEW of somebody holding a sign that said "Free the Delete." Vince sees that. Everybody sees that. They're not going to let him go.
Well, it may not be. They can only keep him if he wants to be kept.
Yeah.
True, but
He
I
had
just
said a while
feel
ago.
like with what Edge did and Orton did to use them as leverage.
Sure.
Like I really want to see him there because I
But
feel like he'll
I think-
actually be utilized and they'll allow him to be who he is
Well,
as
they
a
would
character.
they would allow Edge and Orton to do it too, but Edge and Orton know that they'll also be allowed to do it for way more money in Vince's playground.
Right, exactly.
Matt is not allowed to, and he's made a lot of Hardy money. Come on.
Yeah.
AEW pays, so I mean he would be allowed to be himself.
I'm hoping. I'm sick of guys using AEW as leverage. Is all.
I think it'd be hilarious for the Bucks and people to come on and be like, by the way, these tweets that whoever, like say it has been Orton, we haven't talked to that dude. He's doing this.
Didn't Jericho say that, though?
Vince, this isn't real. I don't know if he did did he? Something like that?
What's that?
Where instead of like playing along, so let's say it was Orton, right? Let's roll back the calendar.
Yeah.
And Orton's dropping things on Twitter saying maybe AEW, maybe not. I think it would be funny for Tony Khan and some people to come out and be like, hey, Vince and whomever, this is bullshit. We would not have this person in the company. This is not true.
We'll pass. No thanks.
So you go back to the negotiating table and do what you got to do, but we do not want Randall Orton in this company.
Randall Keith can stay at home. Yeah, Jericho responded to him and said something along the lines of, I'll send in your tape, I think.
Yeah, see, that was
yeah,
playing along
that
with I
was
can get you a
playing along
job.
with it,
But
yeah.
I want the opposite to happen. Like
Just straight up,
Let's say Baron
no.
Corbin's ready to try to milk the team. have Ring of Honor come out and be like, yo, we don't want him.
No. Well, I think they did that. Somebody did that with Enzo. And Enzo was like, no. Enzo and Big Cass, Cass XL, are going to show up and we're going to be a part of AEW. And AEW's
XL.
like, no.
And well, Matt Hardy said like
No,
he
bro.
had the caption, yes, hashtag free the delete when he's looking at the screen.
Yep.
And then he said, I'll be looking for more hashtag free the delete signs as 3220 approaches, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, NWA, and JPW or MLW. I'm humbled that the small seed I planted is growing into something special.
So March 2nd, he's available? 3220? I heard another thing, too, and I didn't look it up, but apparently he had posted some big kayfabe, not a rant, but just like a fairly decent post. And in it, if you didn't know him and you just read it, you might notice a couple of capitalizations here and there.
Yeah.
But he capitalized a couple of beginning letters of words, and it
Yeah.
was just an AE and a W. And again, it could totally be milking it. I like the fact that you can't tell right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He spun the wheel last week or so also on a video where he made a full statement and every other word was, I'm going to be the elite of an Impact individual.
That's the one I'm thinking of, yeah.
And I enjoyed that too. Yeah, I like the enigmatic of it. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to believe it. Randiel, Keith Orton.
Randiel, I'm going to stick with that.
Randiel, Keith Orton, and dare I say Edge. I'm not concerned or worried about their name and or their history or their dynasty or whatever it is. They're fine. They're great. They're wonderful.
They're set.
I would say that, as you just said, they could do their thing at WWE, no issue. Get a check. They could fluff a little bit just to try and make the money have another zero or two, but it's not.
They could fluff?
Yeah,
Did you mean it the way?
I said what I said.
Okay.
But they could do what they need to do to get where they need to be. But I don't feel as though that Matt Hardy is of that same ilk. I don't. I find maybe it is kayfabe. Maybe it's something in belief of who I see, what I want to believe of him. But if I was to say Randall Keith Orton was to go to AEW, I'd be excited because I'd be intrigued to what he would do. But I don't think that would have happened. I don't. Meh. But Edge. Again, same thing. Don't care. I didn't want him to come back. I genuinely didn't.
I didn't need it to happen.
Didn't need it to happen. He's fine. Matt Hardy. I wasn't interested in him until the Woken series.
Hardy has never been on the level of those two.
No.
I mean, once they hit their stride, no. They passed him on the way up. They were on the same level for a minute.
Yeah.
He stayed on his level,
Yeah.
and they kept going up. And Vince did let him be broken Matt Hardy, and he was immediately cast to the bottom of the the mid card.
Right.
And then he threw Bray Wyatt in the toilet with him for
Right.
a while for no
Right.
apparent reason. So I would, if money is not the issue and I'm Matt Hardy, I am gone.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I would like to think. And then also in that same thought, if you look at Vince and say, dude, I gave you the shot to take me on from Impact with
Right.
my own name and do something with it, and you still fucked my day up?
Yep.
Like, bro, I have a lawnmower, and this is funny. Like, come
I got
on.
drones buzzing around the compound.
This is
Seriously,
hila-
like
yeah.
he
And-
created. He, like we had discussed before. He came out and said, "Between me and Jeff, here's the best thing that's ever come out between us."
Yeah.
I enjoyed
I
it.
love the Hardy Boys. They're fantastic, but they were who they were.
Yep.
They were daredevils. That's all they were. And Jeff Hardy has remained the same individual over the entire course of his career. Matt Hardy tried to do the version 1.5 or whatever,
It was 2.0.
2.0, and that flew for a minute. That flew
Yeah.
for a minute, but it wasn't, didn't catch on. And then, but yeah,
Was it
the
version
Woken Matt Hardy was just phenomenal. It's the coolest thing. Yeah, as soon as I discovered that, I was
So
like,
weird.
what the hell is going on? And I even asked my friend who's a huge Hardy fan. I was like, what the hell is going on with Matt Hardy? Is he
Is he
on meth?
okay? Is he?
I was like,
Is he doing
what
all
the
right?
hell? Because but that's how convincing it was.
It's like, hey, you
I
good,
thought
bud?
he legitimately snapped.
Oh,
and
he
I
was
like,
pulling that Joaquin Phoenix move from back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Remember
that's
that
why I
one?
was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on? And she
David
was like, hey, I deleted your message, or I deleted your comment on Facebook. It's nothing personal, but I have people on my Facebook who are friends with them, and I didn't want, any ugliness to break out. And I was like, okay, like they're really close to Matt. And then I messaged her back like a month later, and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. And I was like, now I get it. This
Hey,
is a
commit
character.
to the bit,
But
man.
That's convincing in this age to literally pull the wool over my eyes. And I was like, holy shit.
I mean, how many people, wrestling fans, I would say, in the vein, like you just said, with pulling the wool over your eyes, as committed to we are to wrestling as it is,
Yeah.
in the past, we did not have access to all this information, all this material, all this stuff. So we believed what was presented to us as it was, as it were, to my belief, to my understanding.
My cousin goofed me up. I think I told you my cousin when I was real young is when you told me Macho Man was going to win the belt the second he turned face to save Hogan. It's all been downhill from there for me.
Really? Okay.
that moment plugged me into paying attention to the
nuance
strings
of
and
it.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You saw behind the curtain. Okay.
He showed it to me. I wish he
Wow.
hadn't, frankly.
Damn him.
Damn him!
And that's what's interesting though is I still have my giant mark out moments.
Yeah.
And I've told you, like, I don't know if I told you, the second that Samoa Joe walked out on NXT television a bunch of years ago, he had been in my top 2 or 3 favorites for a very long time. He'd been Ring of Honor world champion for almost 2 years. Huge deal. And he's the opposite of a person that Vince would have ever wanted on TV. The opposite. So when he walked out, I remember I shrieked. I couldn't believe it. Like my reality had been
Squeal.
shattered somehow.
Cool.
But again, I only felt that way because I knew the backstage moving parts.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I still have my marks, but they're few and far between because it depends on secrets being kept, and that's not an easy thing to do in wrestling.
That's not an easy thing
Yeah.
to do in wrestling. Do you think that the India component of it for him being on Impact, well, to say India and Impact, but do you think that him being on Impact was a component to keeping you removed, or do you think you're not knowing what he's up to? Like, I don't know. I'm intrigued on that.
Who was that?
Like, were you not
Matt.
following Hardy so much because he was an Impact?
I hadn't been following it too closely.
Okay.
So that's what kind of like threw me off because it was like 1 minute it was, just Matt Hardy, and the next minute it's like poof, what the hell is going on
Yeah.
here? And that's when I was starting to pay attention more to other federations outside WWE because, like I said, we went to a live Impact showing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started keeping an eye on that because I was like, oh shit, I never even knew they were doing this, because like I said, I was way out of the loop. So when I went and, went to this live show, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to keep an eye on this. This is pretty fun, And it just surprised me. And that's why I was like, seriously, like, what the hell is going on? But
I gotta say, I would hope that he would go to AEW, or where did what's his name go? Austin Aries?
Harrison's in MLW, I think.
Oh, is he?
He
At
kept
MLW?
getting himself kicked out of companies too.
Yeah, he
Whew,
did.
Homeboy's got an attitude. I love him.
You know, he could actually run over to Ring of Honor and work with what's his face,
Marty
Marty
Scurll.
Scurll.
I don't know if they'll have him. Well, Skrull might bring him back in, but he has burned.
No, I'm not talking about
bridges.
Austin Aries. I'm talking about Hardy.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hardy
possible.
and Scurll would be fun.
But
I can see
again,
that.
it depends on what he wants, where he can express himself, where he'll be happy. Like I said, I just hope he doesn't use WWE for or AEW for leverage, because that's going to get really old and it's going to start making me lose respect for guys, because it's just like,
I don't
dude,
like watching the degradation of characters. Like, please,
Yeah, it's just like, dude,
please stop.
for real. So yeah, that's what I'm that's what I'm crossing my fingers for. But
I mean,
let's-
if he does it, I hope that he slips a 20 in every Hardy doll.
Yeah, you owe us some money, man.
You owe us
That's
some
not-
money.
See, that's now I don't want to be one of. That's funny. But the second you said it, I said yes, I agree, and then I immediately heard myself and went, "We're now we're those wrestling fans.
Now we're
saying,
those wrestling fans. No.
You owe us because of our hopes and dreams."
Sell out. No, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes I lose track of the fact that, we love it so much, and obviously the people who do it love it. There aren't that many ways to make that much money for the actual time that you put in the ring. So that's your job.
Yeah.
And some people are never on TV. Like, okay, you basically do a house show loop and you make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But sometimes when I hear somebody say, "Yeah, it's my job," you know what I mean? So if I get
Yeah.
paid a bunch and I'm not on air,
Like Sasha
Yeah.
Banks.
just working. This is my paycheck. This
She
is what I'm
says
doing.
that.
And people sometimes crap on it. Like, well, if you're on the back and you don't care if you're on the thing, you don't care if you're on the air, then why are you even here? Because I'm realistic and I'm not allowed to be on the main thing and I make $350,000 a year. You get a push, so you go do what you need to, but don't question my existence. You don't. It's
Fair.
like you don't know what it's like at the end of the food table.
Yeah, that's fair.
The
That's
catering
fair.
work.
That is fair. You
Like-
ain't me. Shut your mouth, Dolph Ziggler. All
So,
right, I
if
get
Matt
it.
Hardy's body's hurt, and I'm sure it is, and they offer him $750,000 for 4 years in a row, I would take $3 million to chill out and
I'd take $3 million to tell everybody to shut your mouth. Fair.
But that depends on what my bank account said. If it already says 10 mil, do what I want.
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's get into our new segment. And now it's time for Pro Wrestling Deep Cut Story Time with Davison Sarai.
Pull up a chair, little young ones. I have a story to tell.
Why is your whip? Okay, go
Because it's story time with Davison. This is a scary story. Get ready.
My God in heaven.
Do you kids remember 1994 when Hulkamania had fizzled in WWE and he was snatched up into WCW's loving arms?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, quite.
There was a big hope that Hulkamania was going to recapture that spark. Do you remember how long that lasted?
Weekend?
It was like towards the end of 95.
Yeah.
They needed to give CPR to Hulkamania. And in order to do that, just like in the old days, you needed to have a bunch of heels to feed the machine.
Yeah.
Enter one Kevin Sullivan.
Oh.
Kevin Sullivan is a hell of an interesting character. If you don't know much about him,
Yeah.
whoo, he's an odd one. He still carries a bit of a reputation. People think he's a legit goat killing Satanist out running around.
Well,
Yeah,
he
Because
is,
most of his
but
characters are super dark like that.
He is.
If you have information to share, I'd love to see it.
I was
'cause
with him when he did it. I was not. I wasn't there. It wasn't my goat.
You're going to want to back up on that statement.
I did back up.
So Kevin Sullivan comes in. I think he was booking at the time. Kevin Sullivan had a brother named Dave Sullivan.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
No.
Dave Sullivan, unfortunately, was a precursor to a character we discussed fairly recently, Eugene.
Oh, wow.
Dave Sullivan was very dyslexic, don't you see? So he referred to himself as EVAD, because that's what happens when you got the dyslexia, you see. And so his favorite wrestler was Hulk Hogan. And something happened where Hogan either disappointed EVAD or EVAD just changed his mind on Hogan. But Sullivan loved his brother, and suddenly he had it out for Hulk. It appears that the primary motivation for the next couple of years of Sullivan trying to dismantle Hulkamania, it started with his brother losing luster for Hulkamania.
Really?
You trace it back. It's hard to decide. But one way or the other, Sullivan gets put in a position to be the primary nemesis for Hulk Hogan.
Right.
He comes forward with a group called the Three Faces of Fear, comprised of Kevin Sullivan,
Okay.
a man named the Butcher, and not the Butcher you all know.
I was gonna say, does he know any blades?
He was the well, yeah, he used to use them to badly cut people's hair in WWE.
Huh.
He butchered people's hair. Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah.
Ed Leslie. He pops over, and all of a sudden, he's known as the Butcher. Now, John Tenta, who used to play the Earthquake, he had gone to WCW. He was known as the Avalanche. An amazingly creative bit of booking. These three were the faces of fear, and they were the primary food to give to Hogan, right? As that went on, eventually they turned up the heat. And this is where it gets real good. Kevin Sullivan was on a mission to discover himself. He went on a vision quest. He found himself in northern Asia, follows his spirit into Nepal, the hills of Nepal.
Okay.
Goes up into the Himalayas. He meets somebody named the Master. Do either of you remember seeing that old, bald, weird-looking character? Kind of looked like an old Buddha statue come to life, totally covered in like dust and spider webs and stuff. Talked like this all the time.
Oh my, no.
Like always at volume 10, always just rah, ranting. Kevin Sullivan found this man in the cave in the Himalayas.
No.
And decided this is the guy. He knows what's up. I'm dedicating my life to this guy.
Okay.
The Master. He helps him become the Taskmaster.
Ah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That's when he starts showing up in like yellow and red weird satanic robes, and he had those weird makeup horns drawn on his forehead.
Which is where I grew my understanding as to what Satanism is.
He's the Taskmaster. Enter now the Zodiac, who is formerly known as the Butcher.
By the way, never caught.
Who is formerly known as Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He's got that weird black and white like zebra paint on his face now.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So he had to do that to join the new Dungeon of Doom. No longer Faces of Fear Butcher. Now he's in the Dungeon of Doom, motherfucker. He's got his face painted, and he is the Zodiac. Similarly, John Tenta had to up his game. If he's going to hang with these dudes. He's no longer the Avalanche. He's the Shark.
Oh, my.
He doesn't have an avalanche painted on his butt anymore. Now he's got shark teeth painted on the sides of his face. And sometimes he walked out to the ring with a hand mohawk on his head like a shark fin. That's how you knew he meant business.
95.
Now, little known fact. Yes, this is somewhere between 94 and 95, which makes perfect sense if you remember correctly. He had a kind of a crappy tiger tattoo on his one shoulder, similar to the one that Big Show sports these days. Apparently, he took it so seriously when they made him the Shark that he tattooed over it, like did a blackout tattoo, and put like a fin on the blackout. I just watched it on YouTube earlier today.
That's insane.
He swore up and down they didn't put him up to it. It was his idea, but he has a massively horrid blackout shark sort of tattoo on his arm now. There were also floating in and out of this group members, Kamala.
Yep.
Ah.
There was an individual we lovingly referred to as Ming.
Yep.
I don't know if they
Lovingly.
called him Ming in the group, but he wore this giant kind of wooden like boar head statue on it, like a big mask on his head.
Huh.
They were giving these guys all kinds of different ways to be creepy. And their sole job was to ruin Hulkamania. Now, somewhere between the Three Faces of Fear and the Dungeon of Doom, there was an angle, and it was the only time in his career that I'm aware of, where Hulk Hogan lost his mustache. Do you know this?
No.
What?
Dudes. How this didn't become huge news is beyond me, because it's like a big deal. Nobody seems to know of it. I didn't even remember it.
Hulk
Hogan loses his mustache.
Oh, I'm Googling that.
Kevin Sullivan and his boys had harmed Hogan to the point of being incapacitated. And out come the shears. And Sullivan whacked off that Hulk mustache.
Wow.
That's about the time Hogan started showing up in black and white. This is years before the NWO.
Yes.
That's why. He
lost his mustache.
He went Crow Hogan because he lost the stash, dude. He was pissed.
Crow Hogan.
Go back and look into it. Krogan.
I remember.
Krogan just
Crow
shows
Hogan
up one day.
Shows up.
Now
one
Macho
day.
Man Savage joined his team to help get his mustache back. Now think about this. Now you've heard all this, right? There was an amazing promo you can find if you go back and you look up Hogan in a Cave, Dungeons of Doom. He discovered the hidden cave. He went on his own mission. I'm done with these guys fucking with me. I got to dismantle the Dungeon of Doom from the inside. I'm going to find this cave. So Hogan goes on his own trip in his black and white. He goes into the Himalayas. He finds the cave. He finds the Master. The Master was obsessed with finding the rare white Bengal tiger.
Yep.
Any of this ringing a bell?
That is.
That was Hogan, and that's how Sullivan knew to follow this weird old dude, because they were on the same trip.
What in the world?
Except Sullivan was trying to capture Hulkamania, and he realized this old dude's pursuit of the Bengal white tiger was one and the same. That's why they joined forces. So Hogan's in the cave. Out comes the Giant. This is how the Giant premiered.
Yeah.
To be in the Dungeon of Doom. When he was introduced as the son of Andre.
Yeah.
Now imagine that, outside of kayfabe. Imagine if this dude was like, Andre was just on the road. I've never wondered this, but wrestlers get a lot of ass on the road. Do you think Andre was getting a lot of ass on the road? Have either of you ever considered the possibility? I've not.
I mean,
I've not.
You got to imagine dude had a huge, huge schlong.
I mean, a lot of people do, and some people, you know what I mean?
It's like Ric Flair said. He said he had a side 22 boot. What else do you want to know?
Yo. If either of you know who the guy, the Mountain, is from the Game of Thrones, the guy that played the Mountain, he's a legit Icelandic giant, and he's won a ton of those, strongest man in the world contests.
Yeah.
He's 6'9" and legit, 425. His wife is 5'3" and 110. Wow. And I've seen pictures of the two. So I'm just saying, it's been known to happen.
Yeah.
So I just like the idea of Andre having an illegitimate kid running around who
nobody
knew. So out he pops, and he's going to take down Hulkamania. Fast forward a couple, weeks, they're in the ring, and this is the big event. They had been bringing out this giant ice rock, a big glacier that they had found in the Himalayas. And
Please
Sullivan and the Master, no, it's better. / worse. / way worse. Sullivan and the Master had been talking about the secret. This is going to be the end all of Hulkamania. The ultimate anti-Hulkamania weapon. And again, that includes the Zodiac and the Butcher and Ming in a mask and the Shark and the Avalanche.
And Giant.
And the Giant. And, right? They're in the ring. Hogan is being mauled. The big image that people will remember is Lex Luger's in there at the time as well. He's got Hogan in the rack. He dumps him. Ming's in the ring. He dumps him. We got the Giant holding the Hulkster in a bear hug, squashing the life out of him. And then it happens. And all these neon lights inside of this glacier start to light up, and smoke comes out the top, and then boom, there's a big crashing sound. Out comes a 7'5" person or creature, apparently wrapped from head to toe in toilet paper.
Oh my God.
Who comes towards the ring, arms outstretched, much like my favorite old school horror figure, Frankenstein, as I keep coming up. This individual's head appeared to be 2 to 3 heads tall. Couldn't tell because it was wrapped in toilet paper. Shivani starts to make the call. Similar to Vince saying, "That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane!" This time that's him! It's the Yeti! The Yeti! Y-E-T-T-I, the Yeti. Yeti! Here he comes. And he is huge. He gets in the ring, and he is towering over the Giant. He's towering over him. He goes over, and Shivani's losing his shit on announcing, because we're horrified. This is it, man. This is the ultimate anti-Hulkamania bullet right here. Nothing's powerful enough. This is it. I'm horrified of the Yeti.
Yeah.
Yeti gets in the ring, walks towards Hogan, who's got his back to him. The Giant squeezing him in the bear hug. The Yeti walks towards Hogan's back, presses his entire stomach and crotchal region against Hogan's back and buttocks, reaches over his shoulders to grab onto the Giant, kind of sort of squeeze, and just start
helping him,
gyrating and shimmying.
Oh.
Like this.
Okay.
Literally.
Why?
His hands aren't moving. His arms aren't moving.
Why?
His hips is moving.
Why?
Because he's squeezing the Hulkamania out of him, obviously.
He's squeezing the Hulkamania out of him, obviously.
Now, earlier this night was also the night that they had a monster truck jam on the roof of the building. It was at the Cobo Hall. Hogan's monster truck against the Giant's monster truck. they did this because the Giant had run over Hulk Hogan's motorcycle in a monster truck earlier that angle.
This has been a fun-filled day.
So now they're trying to push each other off the roof in monster trucks. It's the night when they got out of the trucks and Hogan said, "What, are you crazy? You trying to kill me?" And he pushed the Giant off the roof. Well, then the Giant came out later and starts hugging him to death in the ring. And here come the Yeti. And he just gyrates all over his back and squashes Hulkamania. It's the one and only time the Yeti ever appeared in WCW.
And you want to know who he ended up becoming?
The Super Ninja. And then, is that what you're going to say, the Super Ninja?
Nope.
What were you going to say?
Reese.
Yeah, Reese from the
Raven's
flock.
Flock.
He
The
was
big
also
dude.
He was also only the Super Ninja for one time.
Yep.
And then he showed up in the flock
Dressed up as a mummy.
as Big Reese.
Like
No.
wrapped in
No.
paper.
They're not anymore. That was only the Yeti.
I remember him as Reese.
Yeah.
Holy
Mohawk.
cow. Yeah.
That's him.
Here we go. Hey, here you go, dude. Look at that.
Oh
He's
my,
like he
that's
was
a-
legit like
that's a gift.
7'3", 7'4".
He's totally gyrating.
Oh, that's
Huge
weird.
guy.
That's
oh my
weird.
God, he was a beast.
I
So
don't want
it
to
was
see that again.
months of build.
Yeah.
Sullivan had gone all the way into the butt crack of the Himalayas, went into the heart of the large
He devoted
intestine.
himself to Satanism.
He was chasing the great white Bengal tiger for years. He found the super weapon, and he only got to use it once.
I remember the Giants debut. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Did
So-
they say he was from Michigan at one point? I
When
used
I've
to tell people
when
that.
I've heard of the Yeti, I've always thought of like a Bigfoot type character. You
Like
know?
the guy that
A
ended
big,
up
fuzzy,
fighting Undertaker.
Abominable snowman sort of thing. Oh, like El Gigante.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was more of a Yeti. This was straight up the Mummy. That's all it was the
It
Mummy.
was a mummy.
But he hugged the shit out of Hulkamania that night.
Fucking gyrating.
And I'll be
all
damned
over.
if Hogan didn't get his mustache back, so something went right.
There's so much that happened in that.
Isn't that something? That's one of those examples. We got a 7'6" guy. How do you go wrong? Well, let's wrap him in toilet paper. Wrong.
Yeti.
Let's make him a 7-foot ninja. Wrong. And now we're going to make him a jobber in the flock, which is already full of jobbers. End of career.
Yeah, end of career. What? How tall is what's his face? That cartwheel between 2 feet of space.
Dijakovic,
Yeah,
8'1".
yeah. Fucking A, 8'1".
He's
Wow.
That
8'1",
tall.
520.
That is a
Oh,
long
are you
straw.
serious?
Yeah.
Dijakovic is
Yeah.
8'1".
Yeah, he is 8'1" and what 120? You said? Man, that is a very
8'1",
solid straw.
They've been trying to get him to mass up, but he's having a hard time with it.
No, he's a lanky bitch.
He's not A1. What the fuck?
How could you even
fucking
possibly
break.
think that was true?
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I can't believe
He's a
it.
huge mother bitch, though. 6'7".
I'm stoked that you took me that seriously.
I was starting to think about it. I was like, wait a minute. No, he's not fucking 8'1".
I'm going to be a lot more careful moving forward with the way I know I have a very dry delivery. I'm sorry. I just naturally assumed you knew that nobody's 8'1".
Right. You said that's asinine.
Yo. Let's hear it
Oh,
for the
man.
Yeti, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeti.
Story time with Davison.
I'm a
dig
Yeti.
it.
Mom spaghetti. Hands were
Jeez,
sweaty.
we go.
Let me wipe them on my toilet paper.
Man, that was yeah. He did not. Look like mummy.
The Yeti.
The Yeti.
Well, now I got to go back and watch the Yeti.
Dude, do yourself a favor. There aren't that many videos on YouTube. I've been looking.
Is it on the network?
Yeah, it's got to be on the network.
There's a little. That's terrible though. That's the Road Dogg and Zack Ryder. I think watching it. It's not good. Look up Wrestling with Regret.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a little 15-minute clip of it. It's so funny.
Rock and roll.
And it
Cool.
shows the whole history of Sullivan going into the Himalayas for the master.
fucking asinine.
Did you ever see Island of Dr. Moreau?
Yeah.
He looks a lot like what was his name? Marlon Brando? Same kind of.
There we go.
It was probably a rip from that.
Probably ripped from that. All right.
That's funny.
Hot
Well,
dog.
There you go.
Transitioning into our main topic tonight, that was fantastic. We just wanted to bring up, we had talked last week about some of the best feuds, wrestlers, talkers in wrestling, and we kind of brought up, well, what about worst talkers and main eventers of all time? Because there's been a lot of them.
Mostly in WCW, but I don't think that's remotely true.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have to say, when we were talking about that, main eventers, and it was something that we brought up before, because somebody brought up, I think in a previous episode, and I wasn't privy to it, the fact that Jake Hagar was a former world champion in WWE, and I was like,
Oh yeah,
they made that guy champion?
He won Money in the Bank that year.
Right.
Yeah.
He's up there. I mean, he is up there. Like, putting a title on that guy.
Yo,
I'm sorry. I thought that guy was a joke.
he only had the belt for maybe a one pay-per-view cycle or two.
Yeah.
You talk about 1,000-yard stare. That poor bastard. You put him in front of a camera, he's looking for that red light out there to stare
Right.
at. He doesn't appear to be able to. He might be colorblind because he doesn't find it. I have never heard him do anything on the mic. I can't think of a single
No.
interview ever. I mean, I know he gives them, but they're
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's a great pick. I don't even consider him main event though. Like they put him up
but
there.
I mean, they put the world title on him at one point. So, I mean, you know, at one point he was.
Yeah, he
But-
took it off of Mysterio that one year.
Well, okay.
He was pretty obviously a Vince project. Think about
Yeah.
it. Put him next to Baron Corbin, next to Heidenreich, next to like. If you gave me a couple minutes, I could give you a whole laundry list of big, on paper, pretty halfway decent people with no personality or kind of charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was right up Vince's alley for sure. I'll tell you what, I don't have any love for Lex Luger.
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
Oy vey.
What, a Lex Express ain't fitting your fancy?
I was into Lex when he debuted in WCW, and he was pulled into the Horsemen right away because he was this big, muscular, whatever. He got the Randy Orton treatment when they kicked him out of Evolution. He was too young, he was too muscular, he was too hot. Remember when, I don't think he's hot, but people apparently did.
Yeah.
Do you remember, I told you how upsetting it was to me when I watched Roddy Piper get beat up in the pit by Adrian Adonis and those folks?
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Similarly, this was the first time I'd seen a backstage angle in WCW where the Horsemen had turned on Luger and they smashed his head into the back of a limousine. And there was like one of those little protruding hood ornaments.
Yeah.
He came away from it. And I remember he was wearing like a really cool Miami suit. It was white and he wasn't wearing anything under it but a gold chain. But he came away bleeding. And I was like, holy crap, that seemed legit. And they decided to push him to the title. And then Vince got a hold of him and did the same. Dude could never talk. He could not wrestle to save his life. He was gassed. Him and he and Ultimate Warrior should have had a contest for worst cardio.
Oh, God, yeah.
All he had to do was flex once and walk around. He was sucking air. Half the time, do you remember how funny it was? There were certain body types you could not get up into the torture rack.
Oh, yeah.
Like Scott Norton was never going up. Jim the Anvil was never going to go up. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Anybody who was abdomen heavy was just bad. Yeah.
Like
And
Jeff Cobb, come on, that was never going to happen.
No.
See, I don't know. I get a crack out of it. They were determined to push him, and it was strictly based on his body, and everything else was a total flop. For
Well, that's what it was when he was in WWE too. When he was the narcissist,
right.
He, it was all about his body. And again, even when he turned into the American hero, was trying to take over for
He was handpicked by Vince. He was handpicked boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was supposed to be like the next big American hero, and it was just like, okay, how long are you going to play the Patriot card? Because
He tried for a while. He did it for over a year, didn't he?
Yeah.
If it's funny, before Luger, it was supposed to be Tom McGee.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Tom McGee.
Talk about a legend.
Yeah, no shit. A legend who never did anything. Shit.
Yeah, the story of that lost match between he and Bret Hart, that's like the stuff of legend.
Wasn't a bad match.
That's
but,
all right.
Tom McGee was in good condition.
He looked great.
Again, I think Luger was kind of taking a back seat to everything once it figured out it wasn't working and that he wouldn't draw.
It was weird because he occasionally would get hot. Do you remember he was one of the guys that took a title off of Hogan during the NWO run?
Yeah.
And I remember that happening and watching it happen, and I'm so blasé to super negative on Lex that when it happened, I remember going, oh, wow. Like, it kind of made sense at the time. The crowd was hype. Like, I don't remember how they were doing it, but they made it work that moment. But yeah, he should have never been higher than like mid-card.
Yeah.
Ever. But
I dug him. I didn't know a lot about him, but I liked him. And a good friend of mine is a big fan of him, too. Was a big fan of him. Not a big fan of his personal life, though.
Yeah, he had some shortcomings there.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestlers got no love. He's the legend is that he killed Miss Elizabeth.
That's the
by
legend.
accident.
For those that are interested, look into that.
A lot of mutual drug addiction, basically, at the time.
There's a video on Behind the Titantron about that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's one of those darker stories. Do you have anybody in mind who fits this bill?
Ronda Rousey.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
She's a letdown on the mic.
Verbally, big time.
Yeah.
It's too bad too, because she's like, well, actually, I was just about to say you could let her be naturalistic, but whoa, she's got a history of being problematic, given free reign on the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, and I went down a rabbit hole like I think a week or two ago on her, particularly with I think it was Amanda Nunes not Amanda Nunes. Who was the gal that she fought and then lost after? She was like, no, she's fake. She's just fake. I just don't believe.
Holly
in her."
Holmes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched all that and I was like, you got humbled real quick. And
She knocked her the fuck out.
Yeah. And then afterwards, she's like, I'm sorry. I thought you weren't fake, but I guess you're just quiet.
Fuck your ass!
That was the classic bully getting smacked in the face.
Yeah.
Except she got to do it in front of 20 million people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. She's got good intensity. She looks the part. She's really great in the ring.
Yeah.
Can be, but that's a good one.
Yeah, you know, you think back to all those vignettes that they would do in the late 80s, early 90s, especially going into the Royal Rumble. It was interesting how, I don't know, all the deliveries that those guys would do would be pretty spot on. I don't go back and watch too many of those and see too many mistakes. And I think that flies in the face of, I don't know, maybe it was the times, but people literally became that character.
Oh, yeah.
And they were way more focused on who you were as a character, and they let you take care of business in the ring as a wrestler. Whereas now they care way more about your dialogue and what you say than
So
what
micromanaged.
like I said, I think that's why back then you had a bunch of guys who could talk. They only did the talking that they needed to do. They didn't need mic time all the time because their characters were so colorful that they painted the picture every time they went out. They were creating storylines through the wrestling. Now it's like you got to create all the storylines before the wrestling begins. And
It's all exposition.
Yeah,
That's what it is. We're being force-fed exposition to make sense of what's happening in the ring.
exposition too.
I think, you know, and it's like, I got love for the guy, don't get me wrong, but I think it's quite clear, King Bonehead of all time. We've talked about this before, but yeah.
Who?
It's got to be Sid Vicious on the mic.
He's on my
I
list.
thought you said Baron Corbin.
I was
like,
yeah.
Baron
he's
Corbin
a
is up
douche.
there too.
You know, he annoys the fuck out of me. He can cut better promos than a lot of people, though.
You said
Unfortunately,
Sid Vicious?
Sid was a wretch on the microphone. Oh,
bad.
so funny.
Goldberg. Goldberg's one of my picks.
Oh, Goldberg's on my list as well.
yeah.
Do you have a classic moment of Sid's that stands out for you? I got a couple.
My favorite of all time, seriously. And I know the Outsiders promo is hilarious, but there is a specific promo where he's cutting it about the Royal Rumble, and Jim Ross is standing there, and he's like, "There's a lot of skeptics out there who say you don't stand a chance in this Rumble," and Sid just goes, "Well, to all the skeptics," and then he just kind of takes a step back and looks befuddled. And he's like, "I'm sorry, can we just start that over again?" And Jim Ross is like, "We're live, fella."
We're live on the air, fella.
And he's like,
You see Sid go like,
"Those skeptics will be answered tonight." And then he looks at the camera for about a long 2 seconds and then walks away.
that's my favorite.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Wonderful.
man. That's rough.
Do you remember the Outsiders one, T?
That was on our old intro.
Yeah, I do.
It's like, you know that I know that you're half the man that I am.
Yeah.
And I have half the brain that you do. Yeah. And they start laughing at him. I come out here week after week. You're trying to make me look like a jackass.
No, I think I understand his logic. I think he was trying to say there's two of you. So there's two brains out there, there's one here. But he said it the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes all the sense in the world. And you know what's shocking, though, is when he was on, he still sounded like he was nearly off the rails, but in the best way, like Scott Steiner did.
Right.
Sid would cut a good one, and the veins would be coming out of his neck, and he'd be like so close to the camera, you could like smell his breath, and he's spitting on the thing. It's like, you need to understand. You only exist because I allow you to. Because
that's what I'm saying.
The master.
When he was Sid Justice, when he was Sid Justice or Psycho Sid, that worked. But when they were like, "Here, talk," Don't do that. No, don't do that. Just be super intimidating.
Hot take. Roddy Piper.
What?
As worst talker?
Bad talker.
Ooh, you're gonna have to elaborate.
I just can't
probably
follow
hide.
the fucker all the damn time. It's hard to follow that rabbit, Ron.
Oh, like he's kind of all over?
He's all over. I like him and all, but motherfucker, slow the goddamn down a little bit.
Well, what would you... But again, though...
It's the enthusiasm that takes over the...
Is it because of the spasticness of it that's drawing you away? Because Macho Man Randy Savage was very spacey as well.
And this is a weird thing to even say, and maybe this is, who knows. Even with Savage going all over the place, there was kind of like this central line you could kind of follow, right?
I felt that way with Macho.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're saying too about, it's like Piper had bad ADD and he was kind of trying to tell this story. It's like me on my worst days when I smoke way too much weed because all of a sudden I'm like going on this offshoot and following it, and then there's one over here and there's one over there. But I mean, I'm never going to say he's bad because he was super entertaining. He got to the
That's
point.
the thing. It was super entertaining. That's what I would say about Sid, though. Is that, grab my attention.
That
Hooked
makes
me.
sense.
All over the place.
The ability to complete. And you know what's funny is I think people used to make the joke that Piper acted like that because he was up on coke. He acts a lot more like somebody who's ADD.
Yeah.
Who would probably be more tuned in if he was on coke. So either he was coked out and doesn't have ADD. I think he probably had real bad ADD and no coke. But that's me.
No coke.
I mean, you could even make a case for the Ultimate Warrior too, in terms of what the fuck.
And that's
he's saying.
I mean,
and that's kind of the thing is that I'm looking for a coherent understanding of what you're trying to say. But if I am so distracted by what's going on, but then again, if you're entertaining, that grabs my attention. I'm gonna like you.
I'm going to put him on this list for, I mean, he was never that good, but I'm thinking of one specific. You've both obviously watched the Shockmaster video.
Yeah.
Oh, so I've watched it a bazillion times, right? You know how they're standing around, who was it? It was Sting, British Bulldog, and somebody. They're about to have a 4-on-4 like cage War Games match.
Yeah.
And then it was Flair, Sid, and Harlem Heat. Do you remember who the other face was besides Bulldog and... I can't remember. Sting. Anyway, the thing about it that was funny was that Bulldog was standing with his back to the camera, and he was the widest guy there. He's a big, huge dude. He was standing with his back to the camera, therefore you couldn't see what anybody else was doing. They were all yelling at each other at the same time, and Bulldog would occasionally do it in his thick British accent. Couldn't understand a word he was saying, and he was yelling over people, and he was blocking the entire shot. For that reason, I've always got Bulldog on my worst promos skills list. He did everything wrong.
You did everything wrong.
Everything.
Have you ever been on a
He
stage?
checked every box. Wrong.
Yeah.
I think he's also the one that when the dude came through the hole and fell and his head rolled off, I think he's the one that laughed and said, "Oh, he fell on his ass."
Yes. That is him.
Which is also live on TV, so go get it.
So go get it. Figure it out.
How about Goldberg?
Goldberg's on my list.
Yeah.
Definitely on my list. Dude can't talk. He keeps hitting his damn head. Just
Chicken and egg. Could he not talk? And that's why he tries to make up for it by hitting powerful spears and gores.
I've seen a lot
Dust
of
knocking his
cartoons
head.
that make sense.
Or knocking his head enough times recklessly led to his lack of promo skill.
No. I think he's trying to gain sense. Brock Lesnar.
Trying to knock. Oh, how did I not think of that? That's obvious.
Because nobody wants to think about Brock Lesnar.
Sheesh.
True.
I was even trying to think of main event people who couldn't talk for themselves, and somehow that slipped right by me.
I was thinking about anybody that needed a mouthpiece. And, I mean, there's some folks that they slap a mouthpiece on. Some people they should have a mouthpiece on. Some people they don't need his mouthpiece on. For example, Kevin Owens doesn't need a mouthpiece.
God, no.
But I don't want to hear him open his mouth a lot of the time.
Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
Really?
Separate thing, separate conversation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's fine, but I'm just.
That doesn't have to happen on the show, but I would love to have that conversation. I'm curious. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like him and all, but he's fine. He's fine.
How about Sabu?
I can't think of anything on the mic for him though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah, probably.
When you watch him do his interviews, he seems like a pretty cool dude, but he definitely seems like I don't know. He's got a little bit of an RVD vibe, minus the chill factor. Just kind of like scattered and all over the place.
Gotcha.
He's actually come through here before.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And he's super. Yeah, he did a couple interviews in the studio next to us.
Oh, cool.
And he's super quiet guy, from what I understand.
Yeah. For that character to work, you'd either have to be way over the top and like frothing. If you can't cut a promo, you can still play savagery.
Yeah.
But that's hard to pull off in this day and age too. That feels more like a early to mid '80s gig. You can still put a mouthpiece on Lesnar, but Lesnar's a big human dude who fights and can't maybe talk so much. Whereas the ability to like sell it as, whoa, that person's so wild and so wacky and crazy, they can't cut. Like, kind of past that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what Sabu would have to have done was either be wild on the stick.
Yeah.
He had the intensity for sure. There must be a reason they didn't put a mic in his hand. There had to be.
Had to be, maybe.
Maybe to keep that mystique.
Yeah, that could be.
I was thinking, my
Because when
Undertaker.
they rolled him out initially against the Tasmaniac, they rolled him out on a dolly.
He was all chained up. He was wearing the Hannibal Lecter mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just maybe to keep that mystique. Because a lot of times when they talk, it's like, there's a thing, like with The Undertaker, you know, The Undertaker, he was dead man walking around. He would just say, rest in peace.
Controlled by the urn.
Yeah, one, maybe two sentences at the most, and then rest in peace. And then he got on the mic, and, you know, he was the American badass, and that kind of changed everything.
Sure did.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? He's considered obviously one of the all-time, a lot of people call him the all-time best, right?
Yeah.
And I would love to have that conversation. I wouldn't have a problem with that. He can talk. They gave him a manager to protect his mystique.
Yeah.
They gave him Percival Pringle, who then became
Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer, thank you. If he wasn't the goofiest manager character in the world, I don't know who is, but somehow it didn't make The Undertaker cheesy. There's never been anything cheesier than him, and yet somehow
so
that
over
worked
the
out.
top, but yeah, it's
Right? That's weird.
They're
that
like
worked.
on literally opposite sides of the spectrum.
There's no way that should have worked. Maybe it's just because The Undertaker's so fucking great. I don't know, but that's not it, because it never felt like an anchor around his neck. It just was really weird and unexpected.
I think that it capitalized. I mean, my association and my lure, I would say, when I hear the voice of a Paul Bearer, Vincent Price is what I get, and I mean that whole like I'm lured in because of, and I mean I think I talked to you about this, Mark, before. Is like the idea of radio is so intriguing to me and entertaining to me because of the fact that it's a universal medium to a lot of folks. It's
and
tappable.
free.
It's hand free. Yeah, and free. It's and I think that something that taps into a nostalgia of that kind of lore, that kind of elegance.
I always imagined Paul Bearer like lurking around a graveyard all the time.
I assume he's always
like
there.
literally, like that's how I viewed him as a kid.
When you're you're not at work, you're at work hanging out at a graveyard. Yeah, that's
literally
your thing.
that's how wrestling was pictured.
Yeah, that's his
back
job.
then.
Yeah, that's his job.
You know what actually was his job? Do y'all realize that?
Paul Bearer.
They didn't know
He
it
was
when
a
they
mortician.
made him the Paul Bearer. He'd let them know. By the way, I used to do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty wacky.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one. Sting.
True.
Yeah,
Not going to disagree.
I can't disagree with
He
that.
can put a sentence together and punctuate it properly, but I mean,
Can't make a paragraph, Ron.
Again,
Yeah.
when they made Crow Sting,
I do. Yeah.
that was his best
They
promo
broke the
work.
mold.
When he
That
the
was his, that was. Yeah, that was.
0 words.
I
there
loved
was
him as
nothing-
Surfer Sting, but
and there was nothing special when he turned Wolfpack except ooh, now he paints his face red. Oh, now it became comical.
Yeah.
You know, it became a joke.
I've always been a very big fan of Sting, and I very much loved him. And I love Surfer Sting a great deal just because of the look and the vibe, and he's a cool guy. I really liked it. I dug
Totally.
it.
I was way into him when I was a kid.
Crow Sting was a transition. Wolfpack Sting, probably one of my favorite times of Sting, actually.
Really?
Yeah, particularly, I remember it fondly because, again, that was one of the big times of wrestling for me.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So it was that was him, to me, like being able to take back ownership and take off from where he needed to be with the from away from the NWO. But yeah, dude, could not cut a very good promo.
You know what though? And I realized this. I think this is why I was so stoked on it. I was not paying attention to Impact for the longest, right? It was called TNA back in the day.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like WCW light because it was catching all the WCW to WWE extensions now. So they were getting the Ken Kennedys. They got Christian when he left. Then
Right.
Booker T. Then the Dudleys, etc.
Angle.
They were like, okay, they were being put out to pasture. At least I thought so.
Right.
I should have been watching Impact that whole time because I went back and looked into the Joker sting. And I was like, holy shit.
You were telling us about that.
It is awesome. And I've had some people tell me that's their least favorite character of his because it was really weird and kind of goofy. But in comparison to his whole career, to see him get to that point and get truly mental. And like, he was like terrorizing people the way the Joker did in the second Batman movie with Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
He was that kind of character all of a sudden. And it was still like the brooding of the Crow, but now he had become like Michael Douglas from Falling Down as well, just like out of it. There's this one weird shot. Do you remember I sent you the thing where he had Hulk Hogan in the corner because he'd been terrorizing Hulk again?
Yeah.
And he had like put some paint in his hand and just like smeared it all over Hogan's face. So he had like white and red paint on his face. He was like, "You eat vitamins, don't you? Didn't you used to eat your vitamins?" And he grabs this tub of like GNC stuff, which was either like protein or whatever it was. He's grabbing handfuls of pills out. He's like, "You need to take your vitamins." He's shoving handfuls of this like these GNC pills in Hogan's mouth. This is one of the funniest things in the world. He's terrorizing this guy, and he looks like he's going to choke him to death with these meds. He looks outside and goes, "Who got a bottle of water?" The cameraman hands him a bottle of water. And when I scream at my TV, "You're an accomplice! You're giving him water to kill him with all those pills, you idiot!" Which is so funny.
Some of the best writing.
But that's the kind of shit he was pulling. And it was short.
Okay.
It was like a 6 or 8 week loop. You can get on YouTube and find like a 25-minute compilation of all those vignettes.
That's wild.
So worth it.
I will have to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be back next week. Another episode of Crucial Squared Circle. May have a special guest with us. We'll see. But either way, it's going to be fun. Make sure you check us out. We may have some big things coming up in the future in terms of the Crucial Podcast in association with IPW. Seems like we are going to be the new commentating team for Independence Pro Wrestling. Davison Sarai and myself. Team may be joining us from occasion, from time to time, but we're going to be taking the reins with this, and we may be even starting a monthly series highlighting IPW prior event and next event as well, with some vignettes from people. And,
okay.
Dude,
rock and roll.
You know how excited I am about this. And to be given the nod, we did our first commentary track. They really enjoyed it. I am thrilled, like giddy, thrilled to be doing this.
Yeah.
So excited.
This is huge.
Fantastic.
So we're going to get more details on that coming up on the next episode of the Crucial Squared Circle. Much love, as always. Thanks for the support. We'll holla at you then.